BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to NHL and UFC. BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source for every three-pointer to hat trick. BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here.
Who that say they gon' beat them say? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them say? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them say? Who that?
Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, money like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right. Shout out to the mighty Who Dat Nation. Welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate you being in this Saturday live, man. What's up? Big ups to the fam, man. Hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend, man. We in here representing the mighty Who Dat Nation. Much love to the fam, man. Listen, fam, news of the day, man. Well, what was happening yesterday, we did a live kind of breaking it down about the Derek Carr situation. And it couldn't get any worse, right? Couldn't get any worse. But it's really interesting to say the least. But this is what Ian Rappaport had to say about it, fam. Put one in the chat if you can hear this one.
Some significant news for the New Orleans Saints. Major quarterback news. Sources say Derek Carr, the starting quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, is now dealing with a shoulder injury that threatens his 2025 season and his availability for it. Major news for the Saints. Obviously, Derek Carr's 2025 season or 2024 season ended prematurely with a fracture in his hand. We'll see, or maybe we'll know eventually where and when he got this shoulder injury, potentially right then. Came back this offseason, has not healed, now going through his options. From what I understand, surgery is an option. Surgery is an option for Derek Carr. If that happens, you'd wonder how much, if any, does he play in 2025? Does he come back to the Saints? He has already gotten his money for this season. So he is going to get paid no matter what for next season.
Why?
What does that mean? Do the Saints move on at quarterback? And look,
Mick is a dumbass.
9. They've done all the homework on all the quarterbacks. Certainly I would say, I would say that quarterback is a little more of a need now than it was.
It was
already, but with Derek Carr potentially missing the 2025 season, all eyes are now on the Saints quarterback position.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ian Rappaport. Shout out to the fan. Appreciate y'all being in the stream, man. Listen, and he brings up an interesting question. When did this shoulder happen? When did it happen? What's the man? Shout out to the man from Channel 6 down here, WDSU. The short little guy. I forgot his name, man. Y'all know his name. Put it in the chat. Y'all know I'm bad with names at time. But he was asking some questions like, when did this happen? And, on yesterday's broadcast, soon as the news broke, maybe a few minutes after the news broke, I did the broadcast from the vehicle. And what's really interesting is, when did this guy when did the shoulder issue happen? When did this happen? When did it occur? When did it happen? And if it happened, you had everything you needed to get from up under Derek Carr's contract by using that medical. If he was hurt, he could not pass the physical. How and where did this happen? And the Saints, that dumb Mickey Loomis still play. See, this is the thing I've been talking about over and over again with these owners that don't know nothing about the sports or the things that's going on. All they care about is if the team is paying off. You got employees running amok, doing whatever they feel they need to do. If Derek Carr's injury, if he had this, and when did this injury happen? There's pictures of Derek Carr on he with his people in Paris on vacation. He doesn't look like he had any issues or whatever the case may have been. He don't look like. When did this happen? What's the timeline on this stuff? And why? And according to the news, and of course, this came out. The Saints knew about it. Of course, they knew about it. I said it on the broadcast without even the people needing to verify it. They didn't need to verify it. We know how this goes. They have access to all of his medicals. They have access to all of that. They got access. I keep saying that to people over and over again. They have access to all of Derek Carr's medicals. They know what time it is. They know they have timelines. They play wishy-washy games with us in the media, but the staff have all of the medicals, included timelines on what's happening with all these players and the injuries. They like to sit up here and pretend like we'll see what's going on. No, they already know. And the question is, if they already knew, how much of it did they know, fam? How much of it did they know? Because Derek Carr is still going to get paid, and more than likely he won't spend one red second on the field. And that dumb Mickey Loomis, man. There is no accountability with these people. I'm telling you, these guys knew this whole time and still paid that man. That don't make any sense. That's why I said this guy is an agent against success. He's an agent against the success of this team. He works every day with that stupid mentality to undermine the team with these bad decisions. He sits up there and they don't push him off of the general manager position, even though he's the VP. They don't rip that away from him and put somebody else there, even though that guy has to go. His decisions are questionable. He's failed repetitiously over the last several years. And then he does this thing and thumbs his nose at the Who Dat Nation. Oh, look what I can do. And you guys can't do a damn thing about it. And I maintain that if it wasn't for your angst and disgust for Dennis Allen, that asshole Mickey Loomis would still have that man, the possum, sitting on top of this team today. I promise you that. What more do you need? But you think Gail gonna do anything about it? She's somewhere interior decorating or doing some charity event. She has absolutely no clue. She like one of the people in the Matrix movies that you see just walking around and have no clue everything around them fake. That's what she is. But she'll know that bank account real. And Dennis Lausch is the worst. He's the worst. He's a team president of two professional teams, the Pelicans and the Saints, and doesn't know nothing about either one of them to govern them. He puts these other clowns in control and then just allows them to do whatever. There is no timelines to success. There is no penalty when they screw up. They can just lie and deflect into injuries all day, and they do it all the time. And I'm sick of it. I really am. I'm sick of it. But yes, Derek Carr, this was a major thing. A lot of the family members were saying over and over again that Derek Carr should have been gone. He did not want to be here. He wanted to be traded. Now, the question is, and I'm just asking questions. The question is, if he was going to get traded, how the hell was he going to pass a trade in terms of in the injury? If he was hurt, how was he going to pass a health check? How was he going to pass a physical if he had a shoulder ailment and they had this stuff going on? You get what I'm getting at? How is he going to get? Because if the Giants were interested in Derek Carr early on and the Saints really wanted to trade him, how was he going to pass the physical? How was he going to pass the physical? When did the shoulder happen? When did it happen? And how did it happen? I mean, I'll tell you, man, these people are unfathomable how they operate, man. And they saying the Saints knew this the whole time. Say they knew it already. Of course they knew it already. Of course they knew it already. You think they're going to get any flack for that? Do you think they're going to get their asses spanked for that? No, it ain't nothing going to happen. It's just it's unfathomable, man. But anyway, that's the question a lot of people ask. And when the hell did Derek Carr get hurt? Where he would need, it's bad enough where he would need surgery. When did that happen? And shout out to Scott Kushner, man. He cooking him online. He said, so the Saints knew and they restructured his contract anyway. He said there's a big piece of information, missing information here. It ain't no missing information, Scott. The Saints are idiots. In particular, it's that dumb Mickey Loomis that needs to be ripped down off the top of that team. I'm sorry, he needs to go, man. Shout out to you, Michael. He said, do you think it's a real injury? Bro, I don't know. But the way the man didn't want to play for the Saints anyway, he was trying to get out. Perhaps this is his way of getting the out. I don't know, bro. A lot of people don't trust Derek Carr. I don't trust Derek Carr as far as I can, throw him. It's this fake bravado of I'm a good guy, and like I said, I don't have a problem with Derek Carr. It's just knowing I'm a person that reads people. I can read people, and it's just the weird way, like he's supposed to be a leader, but even though people don't like him based upon all the talking and the nine stuff that happened, like it's just weird. People can't see the fact that he was getting into teammates who cool. How you get into it with Chris Olave and blame him for a route and he was wrong? The stupid quarterback was wrong. With the Eric McCoy situation, he blames people all the time in the heat of the battle. When shit going wrong, he pointing fingers at everybody else except for himself. You can't trust nobody like that. You can't trust that guy. That guy is wishy-washy as hell, man. And if this is a real injury, I'd have absolutely no idea. But if it's requiring surgery, then some part of it has to be real, right? You ain't gonna go up under the microscope, or not the microscope, go up under the laser for a shoulder issue that is not. So something's wrong here. Even the Saints misdiagnosed him. Because he was supposed to take a physical. Because the only way the contract, we read about it, to get from up under the contract, he had to fail the physical, and the Saints were heading out to get up under the contract. So did they not give him the physical? Did he hurt after that? How did he hurt his shoulder to the point it was so bad that he would need surgery between signing of the restructuring of the deal and up to now, when there was no football? What were you doing for that to happen? Notice that information is not readily available. Saints ain't beefing about it at all because Mickey Loomis is a moron. He's an idiot, and he knows he got a dumb owner and a blind ass president on top of the team. These people are unbelievable, man. I tell you, this shit is not that hard, fam. It really isn't. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.
I'm trying to say thank you very much for picking me up, bringing me back to this world.
Unbelievable. How? I mean, God, they can just make excuses. They can make errors. They're non-accountable. And boy, oh boy, you got a dumb ass VP up there making these decisions with this money, restructuring this deal. He's scared to start from a reboot, holding on to older players that need to go. It's just unreal. He wouldn't have Kellen Moore if it wasn't for the Who Dat Nation pushing the Dennis Allen out of the door. He did not want to fire Dennis Allen. How stupid is that? 7-game losing streak. He fractures his own team, but he doesn't want to fire him. I just don't understand these people at all. I really don't. And really don't care to want to. But Derek Carr, that's why Derek Carr is not liked down here, because Derek Carr plays these games. You got the issues with him, how he behaves on the field. He blames other people, like when he threw the hospital ball at Chris Olave. Chris Olave's in the hospital. Is it Chris Olave's fault he went up to get the ball that he threw? They got idiots online talking about, well, you shouldn't have won the guy. That's not the point, man. Professional quarterbacks, Robert Griffin III, Cam Newton, and others was saying, man, that boy wasn't supposed to put that ball up there, man. You don't throw your receivers into the hospital. You got to be able to see the field. He's supposed to be going around seeing where the safeties are before he throw that ball out there. Hell, For my people that play football, you're supposed to scan the field, know where that safety at before you put that ball there, and you're supposed to put it low and away so the man can catch it and get down low to avoid the hit. You don't put that ball up there where that safety can put him on the stretcher. But in the end, this is what we got. I mean, I tell you, they paid that damn man despite the fact that they knew he was hurt. And more information going to come out. And you think the Saints going to anybody, Gail Benson going to bat eye? She don't care as long as the checks keep coming. That's the reality, man. But anyway, shout out to you guys. Appreciate you being in the stream. And the point of the matter is, where do the Saints go after this? This is the thing. And of course, a lot of people, including myself, knew that it was something strange about Derek Carr. I knew Derek Carr really didn't want to be down here. And my thing was, if you put him on display to the Who Dat Nation now for the upcoming season, and that guy doesn't perform, you put him on Front Street in front of the Who Dat Nation right now, do you not understand what would happen to Derek Carr if he doesn't perform? If he doesn't perform, the Who Dat Nation would cook. We'll cook his ass, man. He'd be Cajun blackened fish down here with the Saints. With the Who Dat Nation. But anyway, man, let me pivot to this article right here, man, and share with you here from USA Today. Derek Carr shoulder injury. What are the Saints QB options for 2025 for the NFL season? Of course, the Saints family members would say, hey, Q, we got Spencer Rattler there. That's a good bet. Yes. Spencer did get a lot of good reps. And to be quite honest with you, Spencer's the best quarterback on our team right now, right? Some people would even say, man, Q, you still better than Carr. I ain't going to go that far, but the guy is very talented nonetheless. And he is definitely our best option currently on the team. Now, the Saints do have Jake Hayner as a backup. I'm not too really enthused about that. And also Ben DiNucci, who Kellen Moore has some familiarity with from his time with the Dallas Cowboys. Not really big on those backups. So at some point, the Saints will more than likely have to bring in an option. But let's examine the options according to USA on it. Saints may be facing a question mark at quarterback in 2025. Incumbent starter Derek Carr, who missed the final 4 games of the season with a fractured hand, may not be ready for the start of the season. Carr is weighing options on how to best deal with a shoulder injury. And as Ian Rappaport, we played at the start of the broadcast, New Orleans made a head coaching change for 2025 by bringing in former Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore. And in his first season, he may be stuck with a tough decision. Now, it's not a tough decision. Shouldn't have been a decision at all to choose for Derek Carr when you had an out. But this is what you can't tell. You can't fix stupid, right? Rookie quarterback Spencer Rattler, who went 0-6 as a starter in 2024, is one of the possibilities for the team at quarterback in 25 if Carr is unavailable. Here's some Saints options for the upcoming season and for the 2025 scenario. Saints options. They got Shedeur Sanders. Carr's injury increases the chance of this happening. Sanders is the most pro-ready passer in his class and can come in and immediately start for the Saints, but he lacks the elite traits of others in the class and has a lower ceiling in weak quarterback group overall. Now, see, I disagree with this analysis about Shedeur Sanders. I don't know what this axe to grind about Shedeur Sanders is, but Shedeur Sanders can play the QB position. Now, all of a sudden, it's a weak quarterback class. And for a long time, Shedeur was listed as the best quarterback over Cam Ward. But all of a sudden, Shedeur Sanders is not even good enough to be a first-round draft pick. At first, he was a top 5 guy. Now he's not worth top 10. Now he's not even top 15. Now they're saying he's not even worth being a first-round draft pick. I mean, they're literally saying that about Shedeur Sanders. And I'm sitting up here and see, you got to look at the body of work, what he did when he was the 2 years at Jackson State, with the 2 years at Colorado. It was a culture jump to go from Jackson State because his numbers was astronomical. Then he went from there to Colorado. That is a big culture shock to go from Jackson State to Colorado. So he was in there. And of course, we know about the offensive line for the Buffaloes wasn't all that good. He took a lot of hits, but his numbers were still very impressive, despite the fact that he was getting knocked around back there. He still delivered. Now, all of a sudden, he's not even, some of them saying he's not even a first round. I was like, yeah, it's some type of axe to grind. That's why it's always good to challenge the narratives established by the media on individuals. He done nothing to fall this far. He's done nothing. He hadn't have any off-field issues. He hadn't, and since he last played football, he hadn't done anything to slide as far as they keep pushing him. You know, it's just ridiculous if you ask me, but it simply is what it is. So, but anyway, you hear it for yourself. New Orleans holds the number 9 overall pick in the 2025 draft. This class lacks blue chip talent. That is not true. There's a lot of blue chip talent in this draft. So the talents would not be unreasonable for the team to select Sanders high, but he provide low cost competence at the position immediately. Shedeur is a franchise quarterback. The hell with this guy isn't talking about. He is. I watched him play the game. The guy could play. But you don't hear nothing like this about when that's with garbage ass Jake Locker. Remember Jake Locker? When he came out, it was all this stuff. You ain't hear none of that about stinking ass Jake Locker or rotten ass Mitchell Trubisky or any of these buffoons. None of these guys were first round draft pick quarterbacks, but they ended up in the first round. Yeah, I ain't gonna let them throw cold water on Shedeur. That's just not gonna happen. You're not gonna sit up here and pet some bullshit narrative that Shedeur is not even a first round draft pick and that he's not this, that, there. You could believe that if you want to, but you obviously, whoever believing that is not watching the film. He outperformed several of the who they consider college quarterbacks, and him and Cam Ward is basically 1A and 1B in my account. They're head and shoulders above the rest of the class. They are. You know, other guys are good, but they're not franchise quarterbacks. That's the difference. They're not franchise quarterbacks. They're not. It's only Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders that are franchise quarterbacks. The rest of these guys aren't franchise quarterbacks. And don't get me wrong, I like them. I like Kyle McCord a lot. I told y'all I like him. I do respect and like what Jackson Dart is doing. What's his name? Tyler Shue from Louisville. I like him. He's a big, tall quarterback, but that's 1 year of production. It's 1 year that he did that. He had that really good year. He did outside of that. What is, I can't, 1 year is good, but when you got a guy with multiple years, how you going to put that other guy over him? And then there's others that's in the class that I like. Even Dylan Gabriel. He's undersized, but he's a good quarterback. He can run your system based on what it is. I mean, he's 5'9", but hell, they got small quarterbacks in the league that can make plays if healthy, like Kyler Murray in Arizona. When he's healthy, he's tearing it up. So if you can play, it don't matter how big you are, how small you are. If you can play the game, you're going to find your way on the football field, bottom line. Mid-round picks. New Orleans has one of the oldest rosters in the league and needs help at many positions on both offense and defense. It could be a prioritize a different position at 9 and wait until later on to address the quarterback position in the draft. Why would you do that? You might see a player that you like there. Maybe somebody slides to you like, oh, man, I like him a lot. But we all know the most important position you need to address is the quarterback position. If you don't have a good quarterback, you're not winning no games. I don't care how good your cornerbacks are, your wide receivers are, your running backs are. If you don't have a good quarterback back there to conduct the offense, you ain't going nowhere. You're not doing a damn thing. So you can't prioritize other positions if you don't have a quarterback. And even if Derek Carr was 100% healthy, you still need to go after a quarterback. Because Derek Carr shouldn't have been here from the get-go. He shouldn't. The Saints are slated to have 2 draft picks in round 3 and 4. They could take a quarterback later on. Alabama's Jalen Milroe has been compared to Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts with his arm and strength and explosive athleticism. Moore's familiarity with that skill set could help him develop Milroe faster than other teams. Jalen Milroe is not a franchise quarterback. He's not a franchise quarterback. Will the Saints pass when their biggest need? Of course they won't. They're going to go and get Shedeur if he's available. They're going to try to get him. You have to. They were going to do this anyway because they knew that call was busted up. If Milroe and the rest of the second-tier passers like Tyler Shue and Jackson Dart are unavailable, they could target Syracuse's Kyle McCord, Ohio State's Will Howard. McCord offers a diet version of Sanders' skill set, and Howard has the physical tools, leadership, and experience to potentially compete for a starting spot early on. Kyle McCord, intelligent, tall, smart, non-athletic. Basically a statue, but he can't slide to deliver the throw. He'll pick up your offense. He'll do some really good things, but he's not a franchise quarterback. He's a good quarterback that can come in and guide your team, but he's not a franchise quarterback. You get what I'm saying? Neither is Will Howard. These are not franchise quarterbacks. And they know it. Jalen Milroe is not a franchise quarterback. These are guys you can bring in and they could help you win, but they're not faces of your team. You know, it's just what it is. Trade for a veteran. The free agent quarterback market has all but dried up. There weren't many good options to begin with, and the last remaining player, Aaron Rodgers, seems more likely to play for a contender like Pittsburgh, which is fine. Let him go. Still armed with extra picks in multiple rounds of the 2025 draft, New Orleans could offer up some draft capital for a team's backup quarterback, which more than likely would make some good sense. You think Detroit would trade Hendon Hooker? Probably not. You think that? Would be interesting though, huh? How long did the Saints know about Derek Carr's situation where maybe Mixon could have been in the picture? Or perhaps the Saints feel good with what they have currently, right? As far as backups, quarterbacks Moore's familiar with, Tanner McKee, the Eagles backup. Philadelphia brought in Dorian Thompson-Robinson this offseason, could free up McKee to be moved. New Orleans also make a play for a veteran backup Moore hasn't worked with before, like solid performance in their record. Well, on their record. This group includes Marcus Mariota with Washington, Jared Stidham with Denver, and Jacoby Brissett. These are career backups. Marcus Mariota was drafted to be a franchise quarterback out of University of Oregon. Injuries derailed his career. But he had talent. He had the ability. When healthy, he can really help you. But that's the problem with Marcus Mariota. He can't be counted on to stay healthy. A good backup option, that sounds sensible. But once again, are Washington really willing to give up a solid backup like Marcus Mariota? Then it's Spencer Rattler. We pivoting to people the Saints currently have. 2026 NFL draft class should have more talented quarterback options than this year, even if Arch Manning decides to return for another year, which is my take. I think Arch Manning goes back. He's not going to come out of there. Especially when this is his first time full-time starting. He's going to play 1 year. He sat behind the other guy for 2 years. And he's going to leave after 1 year, and he's a Manning. They're rich. You don't need to go for the money. A lot of these guys leave because of the money. And I'm pretty sure I just heard recently that Arch Manning signed a hellified NIL deal. Did y'all hear that? Put one in the chat if y'all heard about Arch Manning and that NIL deal he signed out. They're rich in there. He already rich. Then he signs a rich NIL deal. He ain't going nowhere, fam. He going to sit there for the next 2 years and leave the way he was supposed to, because Mannings don't leave early. They do the entire year, the whole kit and caboodle. Then they come out. I never seen a Manning leave early. Did any of the Mannings leave early? They did 4 years, didn't they? And then they came into the pros. Because ain't no need for them. They're rich. The Manning they have money, so there's no need for them to do that. Plus the NIL keeps them there. That's my opinion. All right. So anyway, if Arch decides to return for another year, Texas Penn State's Drew Allar, South Carolina Loris Sellers, and LSU's Garrett Nussmeier are currently slated to be first-round picks. New Orleans could also take a look at the roster, opt to build up on the depth offense and defense with its 9 picks and roll with Rattler in year 2, which is an option. Rattler's not a severe, Rattler has a lot of potential for the Saints. He's not like, oh yeah, such and such. The only problem is if Rattler gets hurt, who you have, I trust Spencer Rattler. Let's just put it like that. I trust Spencer Rattler. I just don't trust whoever's behind him. Jake Haener, I don't trust Jake Haener as far as I can throw him. And Ben DiNucci sounds like a Italian dish. You know, let's go to the store and pick up some DiNucci rice or whatever. I don't know. I just don't. Ben DiNucci don't excite nobody in the Who Dat Nation, you know. All right. But anyway, at worst, he's not the long-term answer. And the Saints draft a quarterback high in 2026. At best, he becomes a reliable starter for future under Moore. So, yeah, Spencer Rattler is a solid option. He had an opportunity to play last year, and he will get better in the system. I like the fact that you do have a quarterback-friendly coach who understands the position intimately. And he will be a guy that would ultimately serve as, you know, the quarterback's best friend. But still in all, Spencer is not Kellen's guy. That's what we forget. the connection there stops because Kellen did not select Spencer Rattler as his guy. That was Clint Kubiak who did. And Hayner, who was the other guy, was Pete Carmichael. So as you can see, there's an attachment, an affinity, so to speak, to who they are if they hitch their little red wagons to a quarterback. So if Kellen Moore comes here, he's going to want his own guy. And we know that because we've seen that happen in the two previous incarnations. So we expect that to happen this time around. So if it's not Shador, it'll be somebody. It's up to us, up to them to decide on where and what is that going to be. All right, let's move to Saints Wire. Shout out to those guys, John Sigler. 8 veteran quarterbacks Saints should consider after the Derek Carr injury. These are just options after the Carr fiasco. It wouldn't be hard to make a case for the Saints signing another quarterback, Derek Carr, on him. And again, this time dealing with a shoulder injury that threatens to end his 2025 season before it begins. The Saints depth chart includes Spencer in year 2, Jake Hayner in year 3, and Ben DiNucci in year 5, but with just one career start for Ben DiNucci. They're likely picking a QB in the draft, but the room could use more experience either way. So who's available? If you want a quarterback who has been in the league and sat in on meetings with the Saints like Kellen Moore, Doug Nussmeier, and Scott Tolzien, then you won't find someone who has done more than DiNucci. Yeah, he sat in a lot of meetings. He just didn't play in no games. And, Aaron Rodgers is a top option that they're talking about. Start with the big one. Aaron Rodgers, 41 years of age, looked washed up on the Jets, and he had it all. Weapons like Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, fantastic players. Familiar friends like Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard, a defense full of playmakers, and all he did was get the coach fired and they end the year at 5-12. Just like Derek Carr, sure, he threw 28 touchdowns, but he also posted one of the worst turnover rates and struggled to hit league average in a lot of efficiency metrics. The Saints should probably check in on them if they're still determined to chase 9 or 10 wins and an NFC South title this year, but it doesn't feel like Rodgers has a lot to offer at this stage of the career. I will stay away from this because Aaron Rodgers is old. You know what I'm saying? And it would be cool to have, we had Aaron Rodgers for a year. No. And the writer's right. When he got hurt the first play 2 years ago and derailed the Jets season, and he came back the second year, a lot of people thought that he would be able to take the Jets to prominence. And he did have all those weapons and that talent, and it just didn't work out. So I would stay away from Aaron Rodgers, man. He's 41 years old and he's cooked. Let's just keep it honest, man. This is not the same Aaron Rodgers of 5 years ago. This is a 41-year-old guy. He done slowed down rapidly, and he's going to be quite overpriced. Let's just be honest. He's going to be quietly overpriced, and I just prefer not to deal with that type of situation. And besides, you're supposed to be in a rebuild situation anyway. Is it the force of the universe that's trying to push the Saints into rebuild, and which something they refuse to do? That's stupid Mickey Loomis. All right, Prime says good look Lewis 5-12. Garbage sucks. Team JW. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate you
very much. Picking me up,
Much love.
taking me back to this one.
Much love to my brother. That's Brother Prime. Isn't that brother? Yeah, Brother Prime. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you, Brother Prime, for that. And thank you for being a member for 50 months, sir. Appreciate you and your support. Hope you're doing well out there, my friend. All right. So, yeah, I'm against Aaron Rodgers thing. Plus, there's the economic component to adding Aaron Rodgers' family to your squad. And I care not to do that. Let me see here. Let me see what Aaron Rodgers' number is right now, how much he's getting paid at 41 years of age. What was his number there? Hold on. Let me just take a look, fam. Give me just a second here. If somebody got that information, just throw it in the chat for me. What was his number with the Jets last year? Now, let's see here. 2025 numbers. All right, he got like 14 million. He had a prorated signing bonus of about 14 million. So it's what, 16 million? 2.5 on the on his 2025 year was 2.5 plus 14, the prorated thing. So He got a dead cap number on the Jets books for 26 at $35 million. And that beat the hell out of what we got. We're gonna have a dead cap for Carr for 69 million. Boy, I tell you, these people are insane, man. This Mickey Loomis guy is out of his mind. Anyway, next quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, now for a curveball. Tannehill, who turns 37 in July, was content to sit out the 2024 season, waiting for a perfect opportunity that never came. He's been out of football since being benched by Tennessee in 23 in favor of Will Levis. And I don't know about this one either. Tannehill's performance fell off as he was asked to shoulder more of the Tennessee offense in later years, but he's a veteran quarterback who has won in the playoffs. There isn't anyone else who fits that description in New Orleans right now, including Carr. It's tough to believe the Saints would fit his criteria of a perfect situation to step into, but maybe he'd be up for it anyway. A 1 year, I don't know. But obviously the Saints approach, like you're pivoting toward recap, like a lot of family members are pivoting to a rebuild or a year where you develop a young player and then you build toward the future. The Saints are running away from that. They might be looking for if it's not Shador in the draft and they're looking for a veteran. And I'm pretty sure and listen, they're not scrambling right now to do a damn thing. They've been new this. So it's not like this news hit the other day and the Saints like they're in the scramble. Let's just get that out of the way. That's not what happened here. The Saints were sitting on this information. Let's be honest. The Saints were sitting on this information, so they're not scrambling anything. They're not scrambling would indicate that you were surprised by something. Thus, you're then out rattling and shaking to figure out how you can then find some answers. How long did the Saints know this? Where that guy's shoulder was tore up and he was facing surgery. How long was this? Because they could have definitely signed a quarterback several weeks ago if they knew that long. How long was it between him restructuring his contract and the fact that we got this news? You see what I'm saying? So if you can find or pinpoint that data, then what ended up happening was you would understand that the Saints probably what their mode of action would be. And it appears to me right now, the Saints they ain't bringing in no veteran quarterbacks right now. They are looking at rookies, potential rookies. They just looked at Tyler Shue, was it yesterday? From Louisville, they brought him in for one of the top 30 visits. That's almost all of the quarterbacks the Saints have taken a look at. They haven't bringing any veterans. And I guarantee the Saints been new this, fam. They've been new this. They've been new this. So if we operating off of that, then they see like, oh, well, we got to find. No, they feel like we're going to ride with what we got. So I don't see about no Tannehill and all that. To me, that would be, I don't know. They feel like they might have the guy. They're not shook up or scrambling nowhere, man. Teddy Bridgewater, 32, led the Miami Northwestern High School team. He was coached to a state football championship, then returned to Detroit in time for a Super Bowl run, but it didn't come to pass. We're guessing he's busy coaching high schoolers. Again, wouldn't have much interest in New Orleans comeback, but you never know. Bridgewater was good for the Saints in the community, showed a lot of love. He may not be a high-end option, but he's someone the supporters would cheer for, at least at training camp. The Teddy Bridgewater thing was interesting. A bit of backdrop on the Teddy Bridgewater thing. When Teddy was here, that was Sean Payton here. And Teddy Bridgewater came here, and that first year he played well. And remember, he played so well when Drew Brees was hurt. Drew Brees had to force himself back onto the field a week early because Drew was supposed to come back for the Atlanta game. It was what game? I think it was Arizona, the games, because the last game Teddy played in, when Drew came back for the Arizona, it was the Arizona game, then they had the Atlanta game, and then they go into a bye week. But Teddy Bridgewater had won how many games? Like 4 or 5 games in a row. People was yelling from the stands, Teddy, Teddy. And Drew Brees was supposed to return for the Atlanta game. Drew Brees forced his way back in there early against the Arizona game, had a good game against the Arizona game, then just had a ridiculous trash loss to the Falcons. It's like the Saints didn't nobody show up for that Falcon game. They went up there and like they sleepwalked that whole game. I was so upset about that. Because the way they played in that game was just so disrespectful to the mighty Who Dat Nation, how they played in that game. You don't show up against the Falcons that way. And had not Drew Brees forced his way back, he would have been available for that game. And it would have been interesting, the scenario, how it would played out, because Teddy Bridgewater beat Arizona. Then Drew comes back for Atlanta. Then Drew beat the Atlanta Falcons, his first game back? Because that would have been really interesting if he had lost that game after Teddy had won 5 straight. I think it was 4 or 5 straight. Team was hot. But anyway, the bottom line was, after the fact, later on, Sean Payton basically was telling him that he would be the guy. Like, Sean Payton was lying to and I covered this at the time, like he was going back and forth playing these games. He was telling Taysom Hill that he's the future at the quarterback position, while telling Teddy Bridgewater he was, when the contract came due. Because you remember, he was here for a couple years. And it all just fell apart. And when Teddy had an opportunity to leave, he left, but Sean Payton offered him a deal to come back, and he just turned it down because the trust was broken. You don't play games like that. You don't tell a guy, hey, you're going to be the franchise quarterback, and then tell the next guy that, like, they can't be talking. Like that, they are that compartmentalized where they're not, no. So, Teddy Bridgewater back with Kellen Moore now would be an interesting option, if he definitely be a severe upgrade at the quarterback position. He's better than a Ben DiNucci, better than a Jay Kaner, would be a good mentor for a Spencer Rattler or a Shador, whoever else they decide to draft. Be interesting. So the Teddy Bridgewater option is not a bad option. He's still not that old. He's only 32. So, that's not bad. Carson Wentz, who's also 32, has a kind of a faded obscurity. He was with the Chiefs last year, his 5th team in 5 years, but he hasn't thrown more than 30 passes in a season since 2022. What happened to this guy? His days as a regular presence in the huddle are behind him. He's been on some really successful teams in recent years. He did come in off the bench and won a game with the Rams in 23. And some of the Philadelphia Eagles coaches on the staff in New Orleans might go bad for him. He could at least offer a veteran presence in the film room. Whatever happened to this guy? The Carson Wentz thing is a case study somebody need to really dig into. I remember Carson Wentz in college was something fantastic. Then he got to the pros. He had some success. And then something happened where he just fell the hell off. What happened to this guy, y'all? What happened to Carson Wentz? The future was so bright, and then it wasn't. It was really strange. Tyler Huntley. Remember Huntley, 27, was exciting for the supporters of other teams and earning a trip to the Pro Bowl games, incidentally, the same year Derek Carr got as an alternate. He hasn't had a ton of success after leaving the Ravens, but the Saints have have worse quarterbacks on their roster right now. Huntley at least can make some fun plays with his legs and force the defense to guard him differently than a pure pocket passer. And he did at least go 2-3 last year on the Miami Dolphins. The Saints could do worse than choosing to give him a call. So these are a couple of options. I know they're not really, I'm not going to even dignify any of these other guys. Got Easton Stick up here and Desmond Ridder. Man, no thank you. And what about Kirk Cousins? Let's see what he had to say about them. We talked about Rodgers, so let's address the other big name that's kind of on the market. Unlike everyone else on this list, Cousins, who's 36, if you're wondering, is still under contract with his current team. He also has a no-trade clause, which indicated he won't waive until the team acquiring him has used their draft picks. After the acquiring team has used their draft picks, he did get surprised by Michael Penix Jr.'s pick last year. After all, any team trading for Cousins would owe him $27.5 million base salary, which could be restructured for cap purposes. This might be an option for the Saints, but would New Orleans really trade with their oldest rivals and swap one bad contract with Derek Carr for another bad contract with Kirk Cousins? Mickey Loomis is stupid enough to do it. That just doesn't feel like the best path forward. Even if former Mickey Loomis protege Terry Fontenot would be on the other end of the hypothetical call. But Atlanta, don't hold your breath on this one. Good. I just think like a lot of foolishness that we've seen happen with the Saints, like the Teddy Bridgewater thing's not such a bad idea. To be honest with you, he wouldn't cost a lot of money. Even Carson Wentz, it would be interesting, man. That's where we are. But like I said, none of this is even though I know the media is like, they scrambling around because they just found out about it. But man, the Saints ain't addressing that. They don't give a damn. The Saints haven't signed any of these guys. They hadn't done anything outside of just keep looking at draft picks. That's pretty much all they've done up to this point. Just look at draft picks, right? That's pretty much all they did, is just look at draft picks. So, and like I said, this was one right here, Saints Wire, shout out to them, that the Saints did host, like I told you, Tyler Shue on a visit. This was the other day. They brought him in to look at him. So that's pretty much a lot of, pretty much almost all of the top considered quarterbacks in the draft class. The Saints have had an opportunity to basically kind of look at and do some research on. And also, and that's pretty much what it is, man. I'm going to pivot to y'all momentarily. Y'all get y'all questions ready if y'all have any. And we'll see about what we can do about getting it. But let me see if I could tune this up for you, family. Because, hold on, let me see if I can do this right here. Because this is the talking point on Shedeur. Let me give you a little game what people are saying about Shedeur Sanders. And what they're saying about him. Now, this is, what's the name? I think his name is Jones or whatever his name is. Y'all seen this guy before on CBS. Listen to what he had to say about what the Browns potentially doing at the 2 position. And I want you to hear this segment because it kind of gives you some insight on what he's saying, they're saying about Shedeur Sanders. Put one in the chat if you can hear.
It's the aforementioned Shedeur Sanders. It is Abdul Carter. And it's Travis Hunter. The last couple of weeks, I've been saying that I would lean toward Travis Hunter. I'm not saying that I'm reporting that Travis Hunter will be a Cleveland Brown, but if you ask me who they're taking at 2 right now, I'd say it's probably going to be Travis Hunter. Now, look, I understand, especially in Ryan Wilson's mock draft and a number of people's mock drafts, that it would be a nice, clean, easy, and efficient way to have Shedeur Sanders get off the board at 2 or 3. I don't know that is necessarily going to be the case. I don't know that's going to be reality. And really, the Browns have situated themselves in a very similar position to what the Giants did, right? They went out and signed Russell Wilson and signed Jameis Winston. They also have Tommy DeVito still on the roster. But what it means is it doesn't mean that they have to take a quarterback at 2, or one of the sort of niche things, what has been in vogue recently in the mock draft world, is to have the Browns trade back up into the first round to get Shedeur Sanders. Again, they're mocks and they're reality. And sometimes I enjoy doing mocks, and sometimes you don't have a clean way of getting a player to a certain team, but you really want to get that player there. And so I understand folks saying, the Browns are just going to trade back up. They need a quarterback of the future. Let them go get Shedeur Sanders. What I'm hearing around the NFL is that teams aren't all that crazy necessarily about Shedeur as a first-round draft pick, as a top 3, top 5, top half of the first round draft pick. And so if you are not wild about him, if you think that you can go get a potential Pro Bowler, a starter there, and let Shedeur fall, that could certainly happen. That is a very real possibility that we see play out 13 days from now in Green Bay at the draft. So I have Travis Hunter right now going to, I've had that for the last little bit, and then it's going to be the Giants. And do they take Shedeur Sanders, or do they take the gentleman that is in their building right now who got good marks from the doctors when he went for his medical recheck in Indianapolis this week with that stress reaction in his foot? Will it be Abdul Carter there for the Giants? Because if Shedeur doesn't go 3, I don't know where Shedeur ultimately goes in this upcoming draft.
So, all right, so that's Jason, I think Jason Jones. But what's really interesting, just to spot on that, is just the analysis about what he's been hearing from around the league. Now, also remember, leading, you got 2 weeks or so, a week and a half before the draft this year. And usually this when you'll see all these really weird stories come out. You're right within the time frame where there's a lot of smoky stories coming out about where guys are potentially fall, and it's up to you to accept or reject what you're hearing, because a lot of times it's just smokescreen. It's just BS. Now, like I've said before, it'll be more credible if something happened that you can pin to his decrease or his fall in terms of why he's not ascending or why he's falling. There's usually something. For instance, Ted McMillan, who was seen as a top wide receiver, like the best wide receiver, and I still see Ted as the best wide receiver in his draft class. Well, all of a sudden he's fallen. He's fallen to a position where, he's not the top guy. Now, why did he fall? Why did he fall? He's falling because what he said in the restaurant about not liking to watch film by himself and all this kind of crap. I don't believe in it. Hold on. DC just text me. All right. I don't know. DC sent me a link to. Shout out to my boy DC. All right, DC. DC said I should listen to him. I said, nah, DC, I'm not buying it, brother. I'm not buying it. Now, he does have his picks and chooses, and most quarterbacks say that. They do like certain teams, but they know the teams who they are well aware of the teams that they like in terms of who has an option or an opening for them. Now, in terms of like we talked about, Tet did something. He said he didn't like football or whatever the case, and he don't like watching film by himself and all this kind of stuff. So he slid a little bit because of what he said. But even saying who you like and who you don't like, and you're only talking to teams that have the position that you want, does not hurt your draft standing if you didn't say anything derogatory about the organization, which Shedeur did not. So I see what you sent there, DC, but it still doesn't lend credence to the fact that he fall, because most quarterbacks say that. You go back several years, they got quarterbacks that compliment the teams who have an opening for him. He ain't gonna just come out and say, man, Shedeur is not gonna just come out and say, man, only team I want to be drafted by is the New Orleans Saints. That's the only team I'm interested in playing for. Browns, whomever else, Jets, do not attempt to draft me. He did not say that. He did not say that. He has a group of teams that he likes, and he understands the openings that they have, and he's positioning themselves toward those potential teams. Everybody else, why would he be interested in talking or promoting to a Minnesota Viking team who doesn't have a spot for him? You get what I'm saying? So they play the game, but Shedeur is nothing new. They do. Most of these quarterbacks does this all the time. Remember when Eli came out of the draft? What did Eli do? Y'all remember what Eli Manning did? You remember how Eli forced himself? If Eli positioned himself and he said, you know what he said? Because wasn't Eli supposed to go to the, who was it? The Chargers? Wasn't it the Chargers? And what did Eli do? What did Eli do? This is stuff that happened, 20 years ago? What did Eli do? I like bringing up history because history learn you something, man. They really do. History. Remember, what did Eli? Y'all put in the chat. Educate me and others on that. Answer the question. What did Eli Manning do when he came up that year when he was going to be drafted? Wasn't he supposed to go to the Chargers? How did he end up with the Giants? You remember what Eli did? That's nothing new. They all do the same thing, so that shouldn't be hurt. It's something else going on here with the Shedeur Sanders thing. And I played Jason here just to let people understand and know that all of a sudden this type of stuff is happening where you're seeing the guy slide and nothing controversial is happening. All I'm doing is showing you guys how they use the position. Like, it's okay to tell teams that have an opening for the QB position, hey guys, I would love to play for you teams, and then name those specific teams, right? Hold on, let me check. Let me see, because DC sent me something. Let me see who DC. I don't trust that source, bro. But let me see. I'm gonna look it up. Just because you sent it to me, because DC out there listening. All the way live from Jamaica, DC, much love to you, brother. Pick a pineapple out there for me, brother. All right. I always mess with my dog. All right. Hold on here. Hold on now. Hold on. You guys just hold on. Wait, hold on. Oh, wait just a blaming moment here. Hold on. You know I'm an old man here. Hold on. I got to peck at the keyboard and hold on. Let's see. I don't know if I could trust that source, DC. All right, hold on. Hold on here. Hold on. Hold on. Slow your goddamn roll. All right. All right. Hold on just a second. Hold on, let me play this. Okay, DC, thank you for sending me this. I just didn't like that source, man. I needed somebody else because I don't like their source. All right, but anyway. All right, Shedeur Sanders warns Browns, rest of NFL amid Steelers' interest. This is what? Today. Okay, this just wow, this shit happening right now, fam. 11:16 Central Time. What time? Oh, shit, we've been on the air for what was it? About an hour now. Hold on here. What's up, Chantel, baby? Shout out to you. All right, she says, Q, the Browns are taking Hunter at 2 and trading back in the first round with Atlanta at 15 to get meal rolls. Okay, thank you, Shantae. Shantae, she's up there.
I wanna say thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this world.
All right, appreciate you, Chantel, for dropping some game there. All right. Yeah, thank you for that, Queen. Appreciate you. This is what DC's alluding to. Why are we going on? This just, this information came by way of, let me see if I can put it on the screen right here. And this article was written today. I mean, I want to say as we hear, Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders has given a stern warning to Cleveland Browns and the rest of the NFL with less than 2 weeks until the draft. Sanders was on the Kay Adams show to discuss his draft. The quarterback discussed many things about the pre-draft process, including his latest visit. All right, DC's fingers are turning now. All right, DC. Say, bro, y'all, you got good internet out there, brother. All right. Sanders was on the Kay Adams show to discuss the NFL draft. The quarterback discussed many things about the pre-draft process, including his visit with the Steelers. Sanders projected to be the second quarterback chosen in the draft. However, it is unclear where he will be drafted. The quarterback's draft stock has been sliding in recent weeks as the Cleveland Browns and Giants have coalesced around Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter as the top 2 picks. Sanders is drawing a lot of interest from the Saints, Steelers, and Rams. Here's a bit of it from the K, and we love K here, man. Here's what he said on K's show.
I feel like you've had a long, eventful day as you're coming to me from Pittsburgh's airport. You get to the facility. What is the first thing that happens? Then what?
You see everything. I enjoyed my time in Pittsburgh. I think I connected well with all the coaches, and it was real fun.
What's the one takeaway you had from the time you spent with Coach Tomlin?
I understand the mindset.
I said, bro, you got to get a better mic.
I feel like you've had a long, eventful day as you're coming to me from Pittsburgh's airport. You get to the facility. What is the first thing that happens? Then what?
You see everything. I enjoyed my time in Pittsburgh. I think I connected well with all the coaches, and it was real fun.
What's the one takeaway you had from the time you spent with Coach Tomlin?
I understand the mindset and why they win a lot.
Why do they win a lot?
Just how he is as a person, and just the values that the team has, and what he preaches from his staff down is similar to like my dad.
Okay, if you were to give yourself like a grade on how it went, because it's kind of like a job interview, right? You want to make sure you like it, they like you. What grade would you give yourself?
It was a 10. It was a 10.
Okay. I love that. What was like your favorite part? What was the best part of the day?
Of course, talking football. Talking football is my favorite part. And just really just getting to know each other. That's it.
I mean, I've seen what you can do with the 1-11 team. Is it even fair? Should you be allowed to go to a 10-win team like the Steelers?
That's on the people. That's on the other franchises that make that mistake and let me go there.
Did Aaron Rodgers come up? Who brought him up? You or them?
Nah, we ain't talking about nothing about that.
Okay. How would you feel about sitting behind a vet to start your career? Would you be okay with that?
If that's the way that things play out, and that's how it play out.
I've talked.
I wouldn't question what God has planned for me.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
All right, that's Shador, man. Okay. All right, so Sanders, the Steelers, is starting to heat up. He spent Thursday in Pittsburgh and was complimentary of the organization. Sanders said Tomlin and his dad are very similar as coaches. Both are old school coaches who demand perfection from their players. Sanders knows he could learn a lot from the Steelers. He was optimistic about the idea of being mentored by Aaron Rodgers. Sanders warned teams that they shouldn't make the mistake of letting him slide to the Steelers. The comment felt pointed at Louis Riddick, who said he believed the Sanders family didn't want him to be drafted by the Browns. The Browns are still very interested in Sanders and would trade up for him at the right price. So thank you. And then, of course, like Chantel was saying, and she's from up there, says Q, the Browns are taking Hunter at 2 and trading back into the first round with Atlanta at number 15 to get Milroe. So instead of into, what'd you say, Chantel, baby? She said, okay, in the first round to get Milroe at 15. Wow. Milroe is not even seen as a first round, but see how that goes. So that's what I'm saying. Some of these guys, fam, and I had the question last stream about how many quarterbacks do you guys believe will go in the first round? Now, obviously, we know Cam, and I know Shador is going to go in the first round, and possibly Jackson Dart later on in the first round. But we always, every year, see quarterbacks who are not rated as high as they're supposed to, some kind of way find them themselves up into the first round. In the past, we talked about guys like who made it into the first round that probably shouldn't have been there. And I often throw the last few streams I've been talking about Mitchell Trubisky. I think we can agree that Mitch Trubisky wasn't the first round quarterback. We knew that. You know, he had this athleticism going on, and he had a good publicist team and a good amount of BSers that kind of elevate him there. And then there were other quarterbacks over time. We covered this, Blaine Gabbert, and what was the other dude that we talked about that was there in Cam's class, not just Jake Locker, but who was the other dude in Cam's class? The guy's so irrelevant, I can't even remember his name, but he was also a guy, not Blaine Gabbert, but it was the other Missouri guy before him. I don't know. I don't remember his name, but he was in the Cam Newton's class. But some of these guys, some kind of way, always find their way into the first round. And it's because every team has a different rating system for these players. Like everybody has their own scouts. Everybody has their own different rating system. Case in point, some people might see Armand Mimbo as the top offensive lineman in this class. Some people might see Will Campbell from LSU as the top guy. For a long time, people were seeing Kevin Banks Jr. as the second best offensive lineman in this class. So, and Mimbo has climbed up past Kevin and dropped him to some people say the fourth best offensive lineman. What's the brother name from Ohio State? Is it Jones? I want to say the brother from Ohio State climbed up, and he was good. And some people were saying that him and Banks was right on the same line. But now they're putting him ahead of Kevin Banks Jr. Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up too, because I got Bucky Brooks's stuff on. Hold on, I'm gonna show that to you momentarily. Not Josh Connerly, but it was Josh Simmons, the big offensive lineman from Ohio State. It's kind of moved ahead, so you can see the jostling of players. Like Mimbo had a really good jump, because Mimbo was kind of in that class and he kind of moved up, and then some people had him as the top guy. But that's the scouts. The scouts are not a unified front. Every different team has a value system different and has their draft boards a little different. Some guys are uniform. We already know who they are, like a Travis Hunter. We know he's going to be top 3 on all of their boards, you know, in terms of talent. And you look at, they'd be like, yeah, that's just a foregone conclusion. But some guys differ. So that's why it's a stretch. But when you see Shador drop as far as what he's going, man, I don't like that. I don't think that's fair. Jonathan Johnson said, what's going on, Big Q? Always a pleasure being on your platform. But I will say this, the rebuild is real. I really feel like we need a different look at the quarterback position. Value at pick 9. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you for stopping by. Much love, man. Always appreciate you as well. All right. And we're going to get to that momentarily. Let me show y'all some stuff here. Thank you, DC. Shout out to my dog, DC, chiming in already from the Caribbean. DC, is that internet service really good down there? Shout out to my dog, man. Appreciate. Shout out to my dog down there. All right, he sent me this. Is this your mock draft, DC? Is this your mock? Is this yours, bro? Let me see here. Is this your mock, DC? All right. Shout out to Deborah, man. Much love to Deborah, man. Appreciate her too. All right. Shador. Okay, DC has. Is that your mock, DC? He sent me his mock. Shador. He got Shador Sanders at 9. Omarion Hampton. Okay, DC. I see what you're doing, brother. You got Omarion Hampton at 40. Harold Fanning Jr. Okay, DC swinging for the fences with the offense. You got Shador at. Hey, hold on. That's not right. Hold on. Oh, he made a trade. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, DC traded back to 10, but it's not showing me what he traded to move back to 10. What you gave up to move back? He traded back to 10 for whatever reason. He got Shador at 10, Omarion at 40. Okay. Harold Fanning Jr., the tight end from Bowling Green at 71. Torrey Horton. He gave Torrey Horton, a wide receiver from Colorado. Okay, DC, this is not bad. He got an edge rusher from Central Arkansas, David Walker at 112, 131. He gives you an offensive lineman in Luke Kandra, and then he goes defense with cornerback from UTSA, Zay Frazier, Nazir Stackhouse from Georgia, the interior defensive tackle. I like Stackhouse. And then the wide receiver, and Andrew Armstrong from Arkansas. So, DC, you got nothing but offensive. Well, you got 1, 2, 3 defensive players, and DC went to work on that offense. So, Shador, Sanders, Omarion Hampton, which, man, that's big. I would love a Omarion, but see, what does that do with Kendra Miller? DC just pushed Kendra Miller clean out the way. And Harold Fanning, I like Harold Fanning, man. That's some good. Torrey Horton is also a solid wide receiver from Colorado State. So DC got some good people there. All right, shout out to you, DC, bro. Appreciate you, my man. DC chilling in Jamaica, man. Jamaica. All right, anyway, let's look at this list right here, man. About Bucky Brooks, and let's see how Bucky Brooks has this stuff going, because I like to show people this. And Bucky Brooks is one of my favorite scouters, man. You know, I like him better than Mike Mayock or some of these other guys. No disrespect to them. But I like Bucky Brooks because he's consistent. He's a good scouter. And this was his top 5 rankings and what he did, you know, and this is his most current rendition of them. With quarterbacks, look what he has at the top of the list. He got Shador Sanders there. And that's what I was saying before. Now is Shador Sanders has been over Cam Ward the entire college football season. It was like 1A and 1B. The whole time. And then you get right before the draft and they kind of edge Cam ahead. Now Shador is not even considered. Like I just played, the reporter from CBS, Jonathan, he was saying that, boom, they're sliding. That he's a mid-first rounder, and now he ain't even, some people don't consider him a first. I'm like, what? That's BS. That's BS, fam. That's BS. That's obvious BS. All of a sudden, a week and a half before the draft, he's not. Well, he ain't even a first round quarterback. No, I don't swallow that garbage. Because he says he wanted teams to such and such, man, get out of here. If a team know, like say for instance, if you have an opening for a quarterback and they know, and the Browns, we'll see what the Browns do. But the Browns do stupid stuff anyway. That's why they're a bad team, because they got dumb leadership. You know, no disrespect to the supporters. They just got to deal with it like we deal with it here. Hell, the Who Dat Nation's intelligent. We've been telling these people to stop doing this nonsense. I think they do it out of spite. I think Mickey Loomis makes these decisions just to thumb his nose at the support base. I really do think that, because some of this stuff don't make any sense at all, what he does. It doesn't make any sense. This stuff is not hard at all. They copy each other everywhere, and all of a sudden he just can't seem to get it right. It don't make any sense. This is a copycat ass league, fam. They copy each other all the time. They copy their movements. They take their personnel. You know, how you can't copy success, and they got teams out there that's successful doing it. You can't turn around and look at what they're doing. It's not like it's a secret. They're doing everything out in the open. they copy philosophy, they copy strategy, they steal each other's coaches, all this kind of stuff. You mean to tell me you can't put together a blueprint for success here in New Orleans? Just doing all this ridiculousness over and over again. But Bucky Brooks has Shedeur. See that for yourself? That's Bucky Brooks saying Shedeur is over Cam. Then he sees Jackson Dart as third, Jalen Milroe, and then Kyle McCord as the fifth best quarterback. That's according to him. His breakdown is the 2025 quarterback class lacks the pizzazz of last year's group, but a few prospects could pop as stars at the next level. Shedeur Sanders displays blockbuster potential as a pocket passer in college, transforming Jackson State and Colorado into winners. And don't forget, both of those teams wasn't doing that good. And prime time and his son goes in, like they saying this stuff about Shedeur Sanders, his primetime son. Of course, he's his son, but at the same time, the man has earned his name for himself. He's played the most visible position in football at all, the QB position, and he's thrived at it. Can't take that away from him. They love to try. But though his tendency to hold on to the ball leads to sacks, few quarterbacks can match his superb timing, touch, and anticipation and rhythm thrower. He has to work on getting the ball out faster. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. But that could be worked on, and Kellen Moore and Nussmeier could definitely do that because he's intelligent. He's willing to learn. You just listen to him. He has a really good temperament. He's not an egotistical guy. Very humble type of kid. So, I mean, you want that guy. He will be really good. Cam Ward, talented signal caller with the tools to develop into Pro Bowl caliber playmaker. As a gunslinger with supreme confidence and limitless range, former Miami, Washington State incarnate Word standout expands the offensive playbook with his skills. Jackson Dart is a dart-throwing wizard. I like that. Built for a vertical passing game, Ole Miss product possesses the arm talent and athleticism to play in offense that features traditional drop-back passes, as well as movement-based concepts that enable him to work inside and outside of the pocket. Jalen Milroe is an explosive dual-threat playmaker with electric running skills and natural arm talent. Though his inconsistent accuracy and ball placement are concerned, he displays tantalizing big play potential as a boom or bust prospect. Wow, that I agree with that. Definitely boom or bust. Kyle McCord is an underrated rhythm passer with a catch, rock, and throw game that meshes with ball control offense featured in the pros. After rewriting the playbook at Syracuse and done with Ohio State, the former Ballyhoo recruit showed gamer some attention as a developmental prospect with starting potential. So as you can see, Bucky Brooks basically breaks down franchise quarterbacks, Shedeur and Cam Ward, right? Then goes to Jackson Dart, then kind of goes into the boom or bust prospect that is Jalen Milroe, and what he termed Kyle McCord as is a prospect with developmental starting potential. Kyle McCord, tall, and like I said, McCord to me is probably my most underrated quarterback that I like because his game is very evident. Like he led college in passing last year, and he stood in there. He delivered all kind of throws. He don't have the biggest arm in the world, but he has enough pop on it. He can make all the throws. He throws you open. He understands, ball placement. Really intelligent. Processing speed is really quick, and had he had more athleticism, Kyle McCord would be up there past Jackson Dart. But if you could take a gene smasher and take Jackson Dart and Kyle McCord and put them in the gene smasher and make them one person, that'd be your top quarterback right there. Because McCord's accuracy, his processing ability, making all the throws, and you mix Jackson's athleticism and his strong arm. And you just them two guys right there. That's number one quarterback right there. But McCord is the issue with him is athleticism, and there's a premium on the dual guy, the guy that can throw and pass. There's a premium on those guys. They help out. So Jackson Dart is, in my opinion, is going to climb into that first round. It depends on who's going to select him, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jackson Dart went somewhere in between the middle of the draft or whatever the case may have been. So, I mean, we'll see some climbing going on. All right. Then, of course, this is Bucky's running backs list. He has Ashton Genty. Everybody agrees with that. Omarion Hampton, who DC picked there. Travion Henderson there. Quinshawn Judkins. Now, I would put Judkins ahead of Travion Henderson. No disrespect to Henderson. I just like Quinshawn Judkins' size. 6 feet, 225 pounds. Running back, I think he's a guy that can come in, and to me, it's like he's awesome. But Dalen Sampson, dude responsible for like 23 rushing touchdowns for Tennessee. So these are big play guys. And then to kind of go down the list here, he had Caleb Johnson from Iowa dropping out. Wide receivers, he got Ted McMillan, but I think still at 1. Matthew Golden is climbing. That previously wasn't ranked, but he's climbed. And then you see the Ohio State receiver Emeka, and then Luther Burden III from Missouri there. Isaiah Burden III is awesome, but he's just undersized. That'll be a guy, a lot of people look at him as a day 2 pick. Isaiah Bond is climbing too in terms of the wide receivers. All right, tight end Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland from Michigan has climbed up. You can see Harold Fanning, for whatever reason, is dropping down because he was considered the second best tight end in the class. Colston Loveland was in 4th, was down a lot further because I really like Tyler Warren, Harold Fanning, Mason Taylor would be my 3. I do like Colston Loveland, big wide receiver that can catch, played in a big program that kind of has him elevated over Harold Fanning. Elijah Arroyo, list from out of Miami, big play tight end, potentially just had a lot of injuries. So he's a bit of a question mark. If you can keep him healthy, you can have something big. Then this top offensive lineman, you see Will Campbell. Mimbo is listed 2nd. Josh Simmons is in the 3rd position. As you can see, Kevin Banks slid from 2 to 4. And then Josh Connerly Jr. from Oregon is there. So you got some really good offensive linemen here. And like they was talking about, these guys they've been saying, like Will Campbell, even though they see him as a blindside tackle, he was saying like, hey man, if you need me to play guard, I'll play guard, whatever. And Mimbo too. These guys are just linemen, man. And it's just Kevin Banks Jr. He can be a guard. They see Kevin Banks Jr. as an offensive guard at the next level who has some potentiality. He played tackle. So, I mean, these guys have some duality to them. And they're going to get drafted early. Interior offensive lineman. There you see Tyler Booker, Donovan Jackson from Ohio State, Gray Zabel from North Dakota State. This guy here, I seen tape of him. He's pretty rough. And, of course, you go down to the defensive tackles, Mason Graham, Walter Nolan. Walter Nolan is a beast. Graham is the highest one. Kenneth Grant, his teammate, man, is another massive force. Be fortunate to get a Kenneth Grant or Walter Nolan on your team, man. Darius Alexander's not bad either. Defensive end, Shamar Stewart, Nick Scorton, Jack Sawyer from Ohio State, Landon Jackson from Arkansas, and Princely. So, from Ole Miss, these are really good, talented defensive ends, man. Jack Sawyer is a football player, man. I'm surprised JT's not up here, but he might have JT at a linebacker or something. I don't know. Scorton is another guy that people talked about that some people mocked the Saints to get early on. And Landon Jackson, I don't know why people are not talking more about Landon Jackson. That dude he's something else. All right. And then outside linebackers, they got Abdul Carter as an outside linebacker, James Pierce Jr., who I love from Tennessee. He's awesome. Mike Green put in a lot of work for Marshall, had all those sacks. You see Williams from Georgia there as well. And they have them penciled at linebackers or outside linebackers. This is his view. Inside linebackers, Jelani Walker from Georgia, Jahad Campbell from Alabama, Barrett Carter from Clemson, Stutzman from Oklahoma, and Schwessinger from UCLA. There was some mocks that had Carson Schwessinger. I think the Saints talked to him. He could be an interesting spot. So Saints could use linebackers too. So like I said, in this draft, depending on where you go, you can do some great things. The cornerbacks under Bucky Brooks, Travis Hunter, Will Johnson, Siobhan Revel Jr., Benjamin Morrison, and Trey Amos from Ole Miss. Good cornerback pickup right there. Nickelbacks in Jahdae Barron, who's the best cornerback in college. He won the award. Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky, solid. Jacob Parrish, Quincy Riley, and Elijah Hustle. So, I mean, Huzzy, these guys are I'm gonna have to look at Huzzy's film some more. Safeties, you see Big Nick at the top of it with Malachi Stark. Xavier Watts from Notre Dame is another solid one. Jalen Reed and Sebastian Castro from Iowa is a solid safety too. So we got some really good play. You can see Malachi kind of dropped a bit. Xavier Watts is awesome, man. Whoever ends up getting that guy. They got in Kevin Winston Jr. from Penn State kind of fell out of his top 5 according to Bucky Brooks. But this is Bucky Brooks stuff. Like I said, I like Bucky Brooks's his picks at some of these. I think a lot of how he looks at these players, I look at them the same way. He also see Gunnar Helm at the tight end position from Texas fell out of his top 5. So did Trey Harris, the wide receiver from Ole Miss, fell out of his top 5 wide receivers with Ted McMillan. Now, I do think Ted slides here, but I don't know how far Ted McMillan slides. Now, for a guy to tell you he don't like watching film by himself and he really don't like football that much, and then the last couple of years, all he does is make touchdowns. I just think that, hey, man, if I'm a coach like Coach Williams, Coach Keat here in New Orleans, and you get a Ted McMillan on your team, and you're like, okay, we're going to find a way to make you understand that football is fun. The guy, if he's telling you that and you believe that, and he's just not capping, and he did what he did from a college standpoint, not liking it, imagine what you can do with a good coach, because that's a challenge. Because it ain't like he's a wide receiver, a floppish, clownish wide receiver that's out there just lazily not doing anything and not living up potential. But he's not even pressing on all of his potential like that, and he's still getting these kind of numbers. Imagine that's a coaching challenge to me. People say, oh, nah, Q, stay away. That's a coaching challenge to me. It's not like the guy smoking the bong or all this kind of crap going on. You don't have that. This guy's still getting numbers. And if he ain't capping, if that's a coaching challenge, in other words, to me, that's what I would do. Hell. All right. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of drop that little game on y'all right there about what I seen for Bucky Brooks right there. Shout out to DC for sending me his mock draft. All right. He listening somewhere. All right. So big ups to you guys. Much love. Let me get some questions and answers for you guys before we do our leave. Big ups to everybody. What's up, Scoop? Shout out to my boy Scoop. What's up, Tamika? Tamika, to me, she says vet QBs are there for guidance for young rookies, but do we really need one when we have a head coach who played the position that could give that guidance? I say get a rookie. That contract saves us money. Shout out to you, Tamika. That is great sense. Oh, I know. God damn it. I'm going to do it my way. Oh, I know. I'm just, give Derek Carr his money. And Dennis Allen's a good coach. I still say Dennis Allen's a good coach. And it's not my money. And that's just how Mickey Loomis operates. And it's not my money. All right, H-Time, what's up, brother? He says I was out on Noodle Arm Breeze after the no interference call. He been, though, just padded numbers in 3 straight 7-9 seasons. Yes, indeed. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you. Yeah, that was the term they was using for Drew. Noodle Arm and the Saints that's why you were introduced to the experiment known as Taysom Hill. You got Taysom Hill becoming your deep ball thrower because the Saints did not want to pivot to find a quarterback that can do both. That was decisions right there, making Lomas who backed that. They could have had a replacement quarterback in the first round for Drew Brees. They had him for how many years? Especially toward the back end of his contract when Drew started to rapidly get hurt over and over again. Remember that? When he would get hurt? Matter of fact, it was Cesar Salad Ruiz in his rookie year that got Drew Brees almost killed. Y'all remember that? When Kentavious Street blew past Cesar Salad Ruiz and went and got Drew Brees, who was trying to throw the ball, and literally crushed Drew Brees, broke them all up to hell. Y'all remember that? Literally broke him up. That was Cesar Salad Ruiz as a rookie playing the guard position. Kent Street blew right past him. And he cried. And I warned him about that the preview. I was like, do not put a rookie offensive lineman in front of Drew Brees because he can't move that well. And that's literally what they did. And he got crushed to death. I'm like, how does these people not have that kind of insight? How do they not have the insight like that? Are you too close to it? You're supposed to see that. If I'm sitting here seeing it and I can say that before it happens, you're supposed to be able to see it. It's common sense. Cartel says, Q, although we witnessed great success with Drew and Sean Payton, is it safe to say they have also crippled this team? No, I don't think they crippled it. All they did was elevated the bar of success that the Saints had. They elevated the floor in which the Saints were supposed to get up there and play on. They were supposed to do that. Now, whose fault is that? That's one person. That's easy to say. That's Mickey Loomis. That's all Mickey Loomis. Nobody else is making these personnel decisions. He's the VP and general manager. So if the team is not having success, he picked the wrong coach. He allowed the coach to pick the wrong players. He's not making them accountable. He just hires these guys, and then when they fail, he gets out and he spends. He doesn't do any of. I told y'all that. I told y'all that guy. Remember, he said it in the presser, and I'm gonna find because I have it. I'm pretty sure you can't find it on their stuff, but I had it on the presser when I said when he had the interview that he's too emotional. He says, I don't do evaluations during the season because I'm too emotional when we lose, and I'm too emotional when we win. So I don't do evaluations during the season. And people there was no news stories on that. That should have been breaking news, stories all over the place. General manager Mickey Loomis says he doesn't do evaluations during the season. You don't stop doing evaluations, fam. That's the point. As a general manager, that is your main job, is to evaluate nonstop. You evaluate during the season, you evaluate after the season. If you do your work during the season, when the season ends, you know exactly who you need to fire, who you need to release, who you need to bring on to the team, where you need improvements at. If you're evaluating properly, you know what to do from pillar to post. That guy doesn't know his team. He doesn't talk to these players. The reporters have told you that. Cat Terrell told you when she asked Mickey Loomis at the end of the year when Dennis Allen threw his team under the bus because of the Atlanta sneak move, Mickey Loomis, she asked Mickey Loomis in the presser. She said, Mickey, you don't usually talk to the players. What made you want to do a end of the season a meeting with the players? Well, that's between me and them. But then they kept pressing on him later on in the press, and he revealed, and I just want to let everybody know now, you're not going to be comfortable. They're not going to be comfortable. I'm like, what? I had to do that Russell on their ass.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
That's what I was like, man, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? The only one that needs not to be comfortable is your wretched ass. The problem has always been Mickey Loomis. He's been living off that rep about him being as great as what he is. And I told y'all that was Sean Payton telling him what to do. Just like it was LeBron James telling David Griffin, who was the general manager of the Cleveland Browns that time when LeBron went back to Cleveland and won that championship. That was LeBron James telling David Griffin what to do. Get this guy, do this, do that. And they won a championship with him doing that. And David Griffin said he hated that. Well, guess what? They weren't going to win no championship if they left it to David Griffin because he's an idiot. He don't know what he's doing. He's talking about building, having a team full of good human beings. And all the NBA do is beat up on them. You got a bunch of punks running around out here, man. You got pushovers and soggy people everywhere running around here. And the Draymonds and what's the man with the colorful braids in Miami used to play for the Heat? What's his name? Jimmy Butlers of the world. They just push on them and push them over. You gotta have tough people, man. You ain't gonna have no, you have a football team and a basketball team. It's physical. But you have the mindset has to be that of toughness. You have to have a tough mindset when you're taking on these people because they're gonna test that nature. So a lead is the word is on them is all you have to do is get physical with them and you just fluster them all to hell. Because that's the good human being crap. Now get out of here with that, man. Get out of here with that nonsense, that foolishness, man. That's like a basketball caught over there. Crazy, man. Simpletons. This stuff is not that hard. It's not. These people make it seem like they building a moon next to the moon up there. I mean, it's just unfathomable how stupid these people are, man. And then they don't get checked. Mickey Loomis said that. He said he doesn't do evaluations. I'm like, what are you the general manager for? He says he doesn't like to do the press conference. And then what are you sitting up here for? We don't want to see you anyway. Get it, because he's an attention whore. That's the only reason why he wants to keep the general manager job, because he's not doing anything different. What is he doing different? What is he doing different? Why would you pay Derek Carr? And I promise you he knew that Derek Carr was hurt and still paid him. I'm like, why would you do that? He gave, like, it's the same bullshit he did when Sean Payton left. And I document this for years, and I'll be telling people this, and they don't get it. A lot of you do, but some of them don't get it, or maybe they don't be thinking about it. When they traded Sean Payton to Denver, the Saints gave an extra third round pick with Denver to get all Denver wanted was Sean Payton. You didn't have to send a pick with him. Why did he send that draft capital out there with Sean Payton? That's to help Sean Payton draft. He gave away a third round pick. We didn't even have to give away picks for that, but he did that to help Sean Payton. That's what are you doing here? What are you doing? Hold on, Q. Sean's my friend. Hold on now, goddammit. Sean Payton's my friend. I wanted to help him draft and build a Denver team. And when they see us, they beat our, they kick our teeth in. But hey, that's just football. A friendship lasts forever. Yeah, Mickey Mouse. I guess it does. But the reality is, who checks them on this stuff? If it ain't the sports coma. That's all we do is check these buffoons with this foolishness. I guarantee y'all that man knew and still paid Carr that money. If he had a shoulder, the question should be, where are they at right now with the press conference to explain this? Where are any Saint executive to stand up here and talk about, where did this happen? Because the smart media people are asking a question online right now. They say, well, hey, hold on. When did Derek Carr get hurt? And how long has this been going on? Because they saying the Saints been new. How long is been? What we talking about here? What's the timeline here? You don't pay that man that money and he was hurt. When did this happen? Will you get that information? Ask the questions. You ask the questions that make the most sense. How long has Derek Carr been hurt? When did this hurt happen? And how long did they been knowing about this? What's the timelines here? Because I wouldn't be surprised if Mickey Loomis knew this and still paid him. That would not surprise me at all, based on how he operates with this money. It's just he been sitting up for years, and when people challenges him, he gets upset. And you hitting him with the truth. Any person with good sense would say, hey, you know what? That man sitting up there, he made good sense. He make good sense about this, about, being responsible with the money, because we can be able to do this, that, and the third. He made good sense about the injuries. Maybe we are talking about injuries too much. Let's just go, let's go do a thorough evaluation on our medical staff and find out if we can find better doctors, that we can add better technology to improve the overall health of our professional athletes. Perhaps we need to add in some dietary regimen. Maybe we need to focus on that. We need more bone and muscle specialists, the top of their field. We have tens of millions to billions of dollars. Why not invest that money into our health staff if we truly believe that health is the reason why our teams aren't getting to the next level? Because we can't allow that to happen. We can control how healthy these players are based on what we do from a health standpoint, because they are in our possession. That's what smart people would say. Am I right or wrong? Because a smart man ain't gonna, or a person period, ain't gonna sit up here and blame injuries all the time and then not do nothing about it and hire one doctor. We hired the doctor over there. Hell, what are you talking about? We hired that doctor right there. How many players on your team, Mickey? Oh, I know, goddammit. I don't know, 100 or so. You got one doctor gonna take care of all of them? No, you got to have a team of people that are highly ranked and the best in their field. You can afford them. If you go to them and pay them, they will come and they will improve your team. They will tell you what kind of technology you need to use to improve the overall unit. You could become the tops in the league at it and you will see a immediate improvement. You will see it, but they aren't serious. Rich says, Q, we all knew Carr exit stage left. We had he crashed out and got hurt last year. He and Allen stole money from the Saints, and we all seen the hustle. Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much for picking me up, bringing me back to this one.
What's intriguing and interesting, to be honest with you, bro, is you're absolutely right, Rich. Only one thing I would say, bro, is that they didn't steal the money. The vault was left open and they just went and picked up the bag, marked their name on it. They didn't steal anything. They didn't rob the Saints. The Saints gave the money to them and they continue to do it. It makes no sense. You got a stupid general manager VP guy up there doing this. You think Gail or Lauscha are going to say, hold on, Mickey, you can't do this. This is crazy. What are you doing here? When you're unchecked, you do any stupid ass thing. And that's what the politicians do, don't they? They vote themselves raises. They do all this old weirdness. And people are like, well, how did they do that? Because you let them do it. You were supposed to check these people. If you don't like how they operating, and this politician here is advising this oil company, he's supposed to be regulating these people. Like case in point, they just had a lawsuit that happened down here over one of these oil companies with pipelines in the swampy areas, the marshlands. They're responsible for why the marshlands are dying. But they'll tell you the spill and the nonsense, the propaganda will tell you we're losing a football field worth of. Y'all heard it all before, Sunshine Anderson. Y'all heard it all before. You're losing a football field of 100 football fields, they say, of wetland every day or whatever it is. Every day we lose 100 football fields worth of wetland to global warming. Oh, it's global warming. So it ain't the oil companies got pipelines ran from the plants through the wetlands down out to the derricks out in the Gulf of America now. So it's not them. And them pipes out there leaking and they just don't pull them up and fix them. They just run new ones. And those old ones leaking that chemical out there. That's not the reason why they're wasting. See, they tell you anything, man. But the reason why I'm saying that is if you don't have oversight on these people, this is what you get. The Saints don't have any oversight at all, man. They really don't. They don't check none of these guys. And that's the problem. That's why we got to sit up here and do it. And then people get mad at me because I'm checking these people, man. Well, do your damn job. Somebody got to do it. Hell, the media do what they can do. They can't sizzle them and fry them like I can. You know, they have no impact on me whatsoever. They can deny the media people credentials. They know that. They know that. If you say something that Slick Mickey dude don't like, boy, you're gonna find it a difficult way to get in that building. Y'all know that. That's how they control them. We talking real game here. Ain't no more fun in games and dancing behind clouds and all that shit. It's time for reality, people. That's how they do it. All right. Shout out to y'all, man. Let me see any more questions in here, man, before I'm getting hot up in here, man. Tyrell, what's up, bro? Says I'm oversigning. He says I'm oversigning vet QBs. It worked with Breeze. It hasn't worked since he retired. Time to get younger. Damn near the whole league is going in that. I know in the Saints are the last to go. You got a dinosaur running the team, bro. He doesn't pivot well. He doesn't change well. He believes his flawed philosophy is what it takes for success. And he should have been replaced. They should have been taking the general manager job away from the man. Mont says Saints probably have already decided to make Spencer the bridge quarterback and draft our franchise quarterback. How could Spencer be a bridge when he was just a rookie last year? I don't think he's a bridge. I think that you can have two young quarterbacks there. You can have Spencer behind whoever you're going to draft to be there, because perhaps maybe the guy gets hurt. It's always a good idea to have two quarterbacks there, and then you have a veteran with those guys. I would rather have two young, good quarterbacks and a veteran than to have one good quarterback or, with no options. That's just how I see it. But I get what you're saying, bro. I don't think he could be a bridge. He's new himself. A bridge would be somebody like a Derek Carr or these old ass quarterbacks that got a year or two left. Because that's a long ass bridge. Because he's trying to get on the field himself, H-Sean says, to be honest, I'm good with Rattler. Okay. He has the arm talent. Kellen Moore would be great for helping. Thank you, H-Sean. Shout out to you, brother. Good to see you. King Chosen One says these dudes never played football ever, and they like, indeed, bro, indeed. It's a way you got. It's an understanding here, man. Like the law is the whole thing that makes it. And I talk about this all the time with the Mickey Loomis non-evaluation thing. That's what do you have that job for if you're not evaluating the team? We evaluate the team more than they do, fam. What does it help for you to evaluate the Saints during the off season, but not do it during the end season? What does it help? It doesn't help. You need to be in a constant state of evaluation. If they were doing that, then they would have found out last year that Aliudo should have been put in the street because he was garbage. When you found out Aliudo was that bad, he shouldn't have been paid. He should have been put in the street. Him and Cedric Wilson Jr. If we would have stopped pity patting with some of these guys and found better backups, we could have salvaged some wins. And plus, that's a good message to other people around him. It's like, man, you better start studying that playbook. Get your ass over there. What you got to do? Play video games all day? No, your job is to be a backup here. You need to know that playbook. You need to be practicing all the time. Even when practice is over with, you go somewhere in the backyard and start practicing. Do what you got to do. You're not cutting grass for a living or building a house or none of that kind of fixing cars. You ain't doing none of that. You're a backup player at the offensive line. You need to be working on your craft. You need to be lifting weights. You need to be working on your stance and improving yourself and getting ready for your opportunity to play. That's what backup's supposed to do. I do not have any tolerance for backups who are stupid, that don't know their playbook, don't know who to block. I have no tolerance for that. Who has more time than a backup, fam? Seriously. Who has more time than a backup? What is the backup doing the majority of the time? He's watching other people play. He has all the time in the world. I have no tolerance for bad backups. They might not be as good as your starters, but they're supposed to be ready to go. That's what a good coach does. You're paying these people handsomely for that. Stop me if I'm not telling the truth. If you realize that Shane Lemieux, who I call Shane LePew because he stinks, and Ali Pudo or Udo, whatever his name is, and all these other people that was stinking it up as backup offensive linemen, didn't know who to block, was slow to the party, all this kind of stuff, I would have put their asses in the street and found me better offensive linemen. Did you get that? Because the game is, we have to win games. We can't use injuries as an excuse to lose games. We have to win. We have to win. We have to win. We have to win. And that is what it's about. If you sitting up here playing with these backup players and they're not handling business, you put them guys in the street. That's a message to them other people. Oh, shit. Did you just see what they did to Ollie? You put them in the street. Man, I better start studying my playbook more. Yes, sir. That's what the message I was sending, that we're not playing with you. You're not going to sit here and get money for free. You're going to earn every bit of this money because that's the Who Dat Nation. We about the business down here. Stop me if I'm not telling the truth. These people do not operate with that same energy. That's why they're losing every damn year. And then blaming the injury monster every year. I'm like, when you think people that stupid to keep, they got some of that all. I ain't gonna lie to you. That'll keep doing it over and over. They'll go for it every year. Dana said if Shador is gone before the Saints pick, I would take the best player available, then get Dart or just ride it out with Rattler. Thank you, Dana. Appreciate you, Queen. Mad Drummer says, I'll roll Rattler, get a veteran, Teddy B or somebody like that, and get the season going if we miss on Shador or Dart. Thank you. Appreciate you, bro. Jack says Steve Smith kind of called T-Mac soft and ranked Golden high. I heard that, bro. I heard that. I did. H-Time also adds, y'all acting like Rattler's trash. The dude is a rookie. Yeah, no, Rattler, I don't know what you saying in the chat, bro. I don't think Rattler's trash at all. I think Rattler's a good quarterback. I just think, I like his skill set. He's getting better. All right. Let me get on down here. I'm way up here. Good Lord. Y'all just chatting away up in here, and I'm way, way up here. Let me get on down here a little bit here, baby. All right, hold on. I got to get some of y'all. It's a bunch of stuff here. I'm missing some of y'all questions, fam. Hold on. Justin says, Gail needs to wake up and fire Loomis or sell the team. That's a lot of people doing that, Justin. That's saying that. And listen, fam, I'm getting to that point too. Because really, I like Gail Benson, but when that stuff happened with the Catholic Church stuff, that really just tore all of the veil off of her and exposed her to an unfavorable light and made her look like something that I just didn't like at all. Because even if you found out that was going on with the team and you did not know, in which I think she did, just to let you know, She was definitely intimately tied into it because you could see some of the emails had showed that. She should have automatically fired Greg Bensel. There was no firings that came about as a result. Somebody should have been fired. Greg Bensel, who's the communication director, should have been fired. He should have been fired, but they did not do nothing, which means they're complicit with it. That wasn't very, and my whole point is like, man, listen, I just think you need to just go ahead on and sell these teams because you're not learning fast enough. You're not learning fast enough if the only time you get involved is if something horrible happens or if there's such a fever pitch as the people getting upset to the point where you got to come down and demand Mickey Loomis to fire the head coach. And he's so stupid he's sitting up there protecting the man. Oh, hold on, Gail. Oh, hold on. Oh, Gail, no, Gail, please. Mickey, they're upset. They want that guy fired. Hold on, Gail. Hold on. Drink a little of my gourmet orange juice and calm down. Hold on. And now you see, Mickey, they want him gone. Oh, I know, Gail. Oh, God damn it. Hold on, Dennis Allen's good coach. Bill Belichick, 8-7. No. Crazy. Corvadius says, what I want to know is how you hurt your shoulder and need surgery, but you in Venice on vacation on Wednesday. This damn dude trying all he can to get from New Orleans. See, it doesn't make any sense at all. He has nothing on that shoulder, and all of this is radically crazy. When did he hurt that shoulder? How long did the Saints know about this? Did they know about it when they cut him the check? Because if he was been hurt from the season's end, then they had an opt out on his agreement where they could have got from up under him because he had to pass a physical to get the money. You see what I'm saying? That was the opt out. How long did you notice? That's the question. I guarantee you, guess what? They're going to run it high from you on that. They ain't going to answer that question. They're not about giving you the answers. They don't even much want to tell you what these coaches being paid and what's the length of the contract. You still to this day don't know how many years it was on Dennis Allen's agreement on what he was getting paid. There are estimations. They didn't even release that data. They're not releasing information on how much these guys are getting paid. All right, shout out to Dr. Gray. Says Spencer needs he gonna compete, whoever it is. Spencer Rattler is gonna compete with whoever the quarterback is. He has an up on whoever the quarterback is gonna be because Spencer has that 1 year of experience. So you would expect and listen, he's gonna compete. So for my Spencer people out there, just be cool with that because Spencer Rattler is gonna compete. And if Spencer steps up and he outperforms, and I think that he'll have a step up, then there's no denying you can't deny his talent. So if he's ready in year 2 to step ahead of whoever the rookie is, Spencer's going to take it if it's not a vet. And I don't think it should be a vet. All right, so we'll see. Thank you, Dr. Gray. Big Sean, what's up, bro? Says Carr won't play another snap for the Saints. Book it. All right, bro. I'm with you. I'm for it, man. I'm sick of Derek Carr. I ain't going to lie to you, fam. I ain't mad at Derek Carr, and I understand if he doesn't want to play, but I was asking the question previously. It's like, why would they do that to Derek Carr? Like before we knew he was hurt again. He's been hurt every year since he's been down here. It is a bad contract. The Saints fired Dennis Allen last year thanks to the mighty Who Dat Nation. Not because anybody else. It was the mighty Who Dat Nation's pressure on Gil to get that fool out of here. So at the end of the day, when the coach is fired, the high-priced guy he brought in here should have left with him. We had an opportunity to get from up under this contract, and Mickey Loomis refused to do it because he's an idiot. He's a moron. He's a chump. I'll be telling y'all that. Mickey Loomis he's getting these comeuppance that was Sean Payton telling him who players we need to get. And Mickey Loomis' gift was to go out and finagle the contracts, the funny paperwork, to be able to then get the players, even though the Saints couldn't afford them. That was his gift. But in terms of who told him to do it, it was Sean Payton. And I compared it to what LeBron James did with David Griffin, who's the current VP of the Pelicans, when he was the general manager of Cleveland. He got a championship on that and then sit up here talking about like he created the championship. No, you got that because that man told you what to do. It's different if you had the imagination yourself. You had the imagination. If you were as smart as what you were with Sean Payton and you was really as good as what we perceived you to be, then you would not have made the mistakes you made with Dennis Allen. You would have not set Dennis Allen out there all to himself and not brung him in with accountability. But when people such as myself was telling you, go check that possum, you sitting up here running excuses and interference for him. You're not as good as you think. And I told people that guy's not as good as you think he is. And you're seeing it, aren't you? All that was Sean Payton. He made all of them look better than what they were. They ain't shit without Sean Payton, as you can see. Dennis Allen wasn't nothing. Pete Carmichael wasn't nothing. Mickey Loomis wasn't nothing. Y'all seeing it in front of you, aren't you? It took you 3 years, but I was telling you, this guy he's not who you think he is. He's not. And you're seeing it now, aren't you? I was like, man, this dude is not who y'all think he is. Hold on, Q, he did that. I'm like, that guy didn't do that. You're giving him credit, undue credit. A lot of that was Sean Payton. How do you know what's your facts and what's your stuff? Look at what Sean Payton doing in Denver and what the Saints doing here. Sean Payton's winning in Denver. Look what the Saints doing. They can't get out of their own way. Isn't that enough proof? If that's receipts right there, I don't know what to tell you. I've been telling you, this guy is not it. He's not as good as what you think he is. He's only a side chick for somebody else. That's what it is. Side chick Mickey. And Mickey ain't the woman. He the side chick. That's what this is. And I, you know what? I'm going to have to apologize to all side chicks everywhere, putting Mickey Loomis in that group. So I apologize to you. My goodness, fam. All right. We fired up on this Saturday, man. All right. Who that daddy says, what good is a car that sits in the garage with a flat tire?
Talk, boy.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Y'all are something else. Y'all something else, man. All right. Side chick Mickey. All right. Total Glock boy says Rattler has already proven he's on a higher level than Hayner. Oh yeah, I agree with you on that, bro. He said we need to add the offense at any other position besides QB and give him a chance. Yeah, bro. But like I said, I see what you're saying. You like Spencer. But the thing is, when you talk about Spencer Rattler, that's what I was saying. The last 3 years, each group, you got 3 new offensive coordinators 3 years straight. They're going to want their own guy. You see what I'm saying? They ain't going to rely on the next guy or the guy somebody else chose. They're going to make the choice for themselves, and you're going to see that. That's why it's a quarterback here. But Spencer will, if whatever the scenario is, Spencer going to stand tall, man. He going to compete. So you better believe that. Thank you, bro. Chief Peanut says, but who brought Sean Payton to New Orleans? Sean Payton was a person that was interviewed by several teams, but he was in a group of people. McCarthy was in the group. Sean Payton was in the group. Gary Kubiak was in the group. Those guys were brought to New Orleans. See, add the whole story, Chief Peanut. Add the whole story, because he tries to take credit for Sean Payton. It was a group of people that were brought in, and it was up to Tom Benson. The decision was made by Tom Benson, who was alive at the time. It wasn't Mickey Loomis who made the decision on who the head coach was going to be, because Tom Benson was the top decision maker. Mickey Loomis did not act the same way he's acting now when Tom Benson was alive. Neither did Sean Payton. Tom Benson was the alpha dog. He ran that organization. If Sean Payton did something he didn't like in these games, he'll call Sean Payton up into that room and he said, well, he would talk to Sean on why he did this, why he did that. Sean Payton used to talk about that all the time, that Tom Benson knew what he was doing. He knew football. And he didn't ask him, hey, was you Sean? Why did you run the ball here and not? He would ask him that and challenge him. He held accountability in that building. And Mickey Loomis, and then they walked on eggshells around there when Tom Benson was there. He wasn't all big head and talking boastful like this and acting like this when Tom Benson was around. Because Tom Benson was a guy that believed in customer service. He did not want you talking to people like that. That's how he built his empire with those car dealerships. Because he was high as hell, but at the same time, he gave you good customer service. That's what he believed in. But at the end of the day, it was a collection of people, McCarthy, Kubiak, and Sean Payton. It was withered down, and it was withered down because the fact that he brought those guys to Tom Benson, and it came down to 2 people. It was between Sean and Gary Kubiak and Tom Benson wanted Gary Kubiak. He wanted him. And the only reason he didn't get Kubiak is because Kubiak got a contract from the Texans. He got a contract from the Texans. And Kubiak wanted Tom Benson to match that contract, and he would have been the Saints coach. Tom Benson said no. And then they agreed to a deal with Sean Payton. That's how Sean Payton became the coach of the team. Look it up. It was between those two because McCarthy fell off. He ended up getting the Green Bay job because McCarthy, remember, he was the offensive coordinator under Jim Haslett from the previous regime. He ended up taking the Green Bay job for like 16 years. He was up there, won a championship, had a bunch of wins. And Kubiak, like I said, was between the Texans and the Saints. Texans offered him a contract. They wanted him there. He wanted the Tom Benson to match it. Tom Benson told him no because Tom Benson was cheap. He did the same shit to Joe Dumas for the Pelicans when he created the vice president position for the Pelicans. Joe Dumas said, yeah, I'm interested in that. And then he told him the money. He says, you know what? Nope. And then gave it to Dale Demps, who was the current general manager. So he's the VP and GM now. That's how it went. That's the problem we had with Tom Benson. He didn't want to cut the checks at times until the pressure was on him to do so. That's how you keep the Saints in line. That's been an old trend. That's when the bags came out. And when the bags come out, there was an indication that after the bags, we wasn't showing up. And that's what happened. When the bags came out and they didn't listen, we stopped showing up to the games. And they got their mind right. That's an old trend. We just there again. It's everything flows in seasons. We're there again. So anyway, he did have the collection. He interviewed these guys and brought them to Tom Benson. And Tom Benson says, we're going to make Sean Payton. It's the same thing. Everything else is them romanticizing it. Like Sean Payton knew that New Orleans was going to be. It was the same stuff with Drew Brees. Drew Brees wasn't coming to New Orleans. He only came to New Orleans after Miami turned him down and went with Dante Culpepper. Then he went to New Orleans. So all this other stuff about this, Drew Brees knew that New Orleans was going. That's all romanticized, revisionist history stuff. The real reality, those men were trying to go elsewhere, or they got chose over, and then by the fact of the matter, money got in the way, and they were then behind this, that, and the third. But that's where that decision came from Tom Benson, who was alive at the time. Now, Mickey Loomis, like I said, I give Mickey Loomis credit in the fact that he did what a gopher would do. Sean Payton would say, hey, Mickey, I want this guy. All right, hold on now. Let me go ahead. Hold on. And he would go up there and do what he needed to do to finagle the contract. Yeah, he was an excellent gopher. He was a golden gopher. He's a golden gopher. But at the end of the day, he's not as good as you think he is. And you have the receipts. I told you. Is that if you look at what he's done with the Saints, his decision making over the last several years with the Saints, and look what Sean Payton doing in Denver. Sean Payton went up there. Denver was losing. It was a trash team, and look what he's done with Denver in a couple of years. Had them when they're in the playoffs this past season. How that work? How that work? Where is his evaluation of talent? How do you not see Dennis Allen was over his head? We all seen it. How he didn't see it. Ask yourself that, Who Dat Nation. How did he not see that? Because he's not as smart as you think he is. I mean, come on. It's not hard to see these guys ain't that good. All right. It's just what it is, man. You know, like I said, I know this is what I do. The great Saint think tank. I know my squad, man. I know the history of my team. I don't listen to these revisionist history people. They always like to romanticize everything. No, man. We're not going to do that. Rich says Rita Benson was the muscle and had the axe. Rita Benson, them despised Gail Benson. They really didn't. If you look at the court documents, they were mad and upset. It was a nasty thing because Rita Benson was the one that was tasked. She was going to be the runner of this team, and she knew this team. Gail did not. And there was always a division between the Benson girls and Gail Benson. Look how it ended. Them getting frozen out and her getting everything. Then they got settled with eventually, but that was after they got threatened with a lawsuit that would have opened the books that they got sealed. By the way, if you don't know, this is what I'm talking about. It's more than just football on the field. I talk the truth. I'm talking everything around it. The money, because before you see football on the field, you got to see these contracts. If the deal ain't right, you're not getting to the field. And they had contracts with the state that was sealed where you can't see the money arrangements between the Saints and the state. So what the Bensons, what the girls was doing was they was forcing them through litigation to break the seal so they can see how much money that was the deals that were being made between the state and the Saints so they can get their fair due. You know what happened? Tom Benson stopped it and settled with them and paid them everything they wanted so you don't break the seal on the contract, baby. What's in them papers? Which you don't have to see it. We already know. They don't pay any rent on none of those buildings. They get all the concessions. They get all this other revenue. They got a honeypot here. They got a honeypot here, and they too stupid to keep it straight. Just win, baby. Just or just do your very best. They so bloated and overconfident. It's ridiculous. Thank you, man. I appreciate you for that.
I'm trying to say thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this world.
We talk this. The Sports Coma Real Deal Holyfield, man. We don't cut no costs with these people. If they don't act right, we check them. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what anybody that loves somebody would do. If you see them out there acting crazy, you're going to check them. You ain't going to let them wild out. You're going to check them. You ain't going to yes man them. And regardless of what you do, you got it. They're just jealous. No, we ain't doing all that. We not doing. We're going to check your ass, man. That's what we supposed to do if you care. Japanese Hercules said, I want Shador at 9 now. If we miss out on him, then Tyler Warren. So funny, the last few weeks, I wanted Genty or McMillan. What a wild draft this is going to be. Yes, indeed. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you. Who that daddy says, yep, we used to go to the top of the ramp on Poitras at the Dome and get free tickets where people would leave their tickets for people to come and get. It was real deal. The bags came out first, and when you didn't listen, then we didn't show up. And it was so cold that people would go to the Dome and barbecue and do all that stuff around the Dome and have the televisions and the radios and all that right there. They wouldn't even go up in there. Wouldn't even go up in there. You disrespect us, we make you pay in the pocket. That's how we got Dennis Allen out of here. It wasn't them. This is the truth. King Eternal says, keep it too real. Said my boy didn't want to come. He didn't want to come down here, bro. He didn't. He was trying to go to Miami. And could you fault him at the time? The city was partially underwater. They still was dealing with issues from the Katrina. Remember, this happened after Hurricane Katrina. So the Saints was in flux. So no, he didn't want to come down here. He didn't. Drew Brees did not. He was trying to go to Miami. That's the truth. People don't realize this because they've already changed the narrative. I'm telling y'all, go do your research. Nick Saban, in the 2 year, Nick Saban was the head coach and he was the top executive over there with the Dolphins. He left LSU to take the job with the Miami Dolphins. He was the VP, GM, whatever it was, and the head coach. He had powers to bring his own people. And when he got there, he had 2 quarterbacks that he was looking at in free agency. It was Dante Culpepper and Drew Brees. And he chose Culpepper, and whoever they didn't choose, you was going to end up with. That's the truth. And he even said it in an interview with Ryan Clark and them other dudes that he regretted that decision. That's the truth. That's the truth. He was trying to go to Drew Brees was trying to go to Miami and didn't get chose. Then he came to New Orleans. That's the truth. That's how it went. All this other stuff, man, that's bullshit, man. It's revisionist history stuff. That's the truth. Go look it up. He didn't come here first. Barry, he's seen the offer. He came here and talked to him for the offer, but when it came down to it, he wanted to go to Miami. Said, don't that hit differently? It hit differently, man. All this other stuff is revisionist history. They're trying to romanticize it. Barry said the Saints were tight and spending money on coaches and players until recently. Mickey is running the Saints like a bad low-budget car dealership, bad ownership, terrible management, and old technicians. Indeed. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you, Barry. Shout out to you. Jack says, he said, you also forget the NFL is revenue sharing, so they don't have to do anything but put a team on the field. They don't need to be good. Then why we need – that's not necessarily the truth. They do share revenue. That is indeed the truth. But at the same time, each team – based on what their market is, they can get more money. They do get a cut of each other's money, but at the end of the day, you still have power over the team. You're just not subjected to what they got going on and just have to put up what they give. That's bullshit, man. In any common economical thought process, if you go to a bad grocery store or any dealership or any place, period, that has bad service, and they don't ingratiate themselves to the supporters of it, they're going to lose them. They're going to lose them. And even though the Saints are only professional team in this market, they still would want you to go down to the games and fill up the dome. They still want that concession revenue. You know how much money revenue sharing is one thing, but they get a lot more money if you're at the facility buying the concessions, the overpriced jerseys that are made in another country that they charge you 3 to 4 times what they're actually worth. They don't give you any deals. The concessions are overpriced and going up despite the fact that the team is losing. If revenue sharing mean anything, then why would they need to do that? Why would they not give you a break and a discount on that? Because they're money hungry. And it's up to you to check them on that. They drop prices according to what you do. That's why they watch you. You run it all. I've been saying that that's the biggest trick that they did in this world is create something like you the follower of it. Like you just a fan. All you had the powers of is a fan of a fanatic. All you can do is just go to with your shirt on and your flags. And you got more than that. That building ain't their building. That building was paid for by taxpayer money. If any revenue sharing should be going on, it should be going on between the taxpayers who built that building. They need to be getting something back from that for that. You just can't use, and that's a big problem. Using taxpayer funded facilities for private use is a problem because they're not giving you anything. They're not giving you discounts on tickets. They're not giving you discounts on concessions. They're not giving you discounts on merchandise. They're raising and jacking up the prices. Is that a good deal for you? Like I said, it's the power of the dollar, and you have the dollar. They want it, then you got power over them, brother. I can't explain it no easier than that. All right, 504, how do you not draft Shador if you're the Saints, Q? You should at any cost. You should pick him up, bro. Shador, I mean, with Derek Carr, you ain't going to get Cam Ward. So, I mean, the next quarterback they can aim at is Shador. The Saints are not going to trade for any veteran quarterback right now. Why should they? Kellen Moore's here. Let him get his own guy. If Kellen likes Shador, let Kellen go get him. I just don't think he slides. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes, man. Wackier things have happened. That's right. Chief Peanut said they were trying to move it to San Antonio. Tom Benson threatened. He threatened the city. And you know what the family members did? They say, you take that team and you get your ass out of here. He ain't go nowhere. He was threatening Tom Benson prior to Katrina. Y'all do y'all research because I talk about this all the time. Tom Benson was threatening to move the team to San Antonio and play out of the Alamo Dome. And he was playing games with San Antonio because he had a dealership down there. He had businesses in San Antonio. He had car dealerships down there. So he was threatening, but he had no intention of moving the Saints. He was using it as a ploy because he wanted a brand new stadium and he wanted you to pay for it. He said he was tired of the dome. He wanted a brand new open air stadium. And people are like, what? Who gonna go and watch the Saints in New Orleans in August and September with an open air stadium? How hot it is down here? Is you a fool? We're not doing that. My New Orleans people down here, my people that's used to, you gonna watch the Saints in an open air? Are you out of your damn mind? We're not doing that. And then he wanted you to pay for it. And they had a place. It was the old war lumber site. It's an old war lumber site. They wanted to demolish and build a stadium at right near the river. They had it all picked out. All this was a part of it. Then you know what changed? Katrina came in and demolished the city. It destroyed the dome. It destroyed the arena. It wiped out a lot of stuff. And after it was over with, the federal money and all that stuff started flowing, and they took the opportunity to then renovate the dome the way they wanted to. And it was up until last year that they finally finished one of the final renovations, which was over $500 million. It was 200 something million dollars or whatever it was. $280 million. One of the last renovations, or the whatever they call it, when they started cutting holes in the roof to put windows to allow light to come in and take out the escalators and all this, add this kind of stuff and open the concourse all wide and all that. They did all that with the money. And you got to pay that money back. So like I said, man, these people, that's how she the richest person in the state. She don't pay no taxes, man. Not like that. And the charities is a way to create an umbrella for come on, people. Come on, my business people out in here. The charity is good, but it also has an economic component to having a charity. That's why the players do it. The players the smart ones all have charities that they champion because they act as tax umbrellas for their money. So you get the good press of doing a good work with charity as well as getting your money protected from taxation. Come on, man. Where my people's at, man? Where my money people's at? Come on. This game, man. I'm giving a good game here. All right. Anyway. All right. Eric White. What's up, Eric? Says the Saints and Pelicans are increasing. I know, Eric. Bro, shout out to you, brother. Yes. Yes, sir. They're increasing the prices. How you the Pelicans got 21 wins right now. They falling through the floor. They lost by 49 points last night. Let me say that again. Let me hit that Russell for him there.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
What I'm talking about, Russell, is the fact that the Pelicans lost by 49 points last night. They're a 20-win team, 82 games in the season. They won 21 games. They got one game left tomorrow against a team that's going to kick their teeth in the OKC Thunder that, 66 wins. It's going to be an evisceration. But at the end of the day, they got the nerve to raise ticket prices. Is that a respect to you? What is your recourse for that? What are you going to let that happen? What you going to do? You have all of the power. Don't sit there like these just because they got some money collected. They're getting the money from you. The money comes from you. The money comes from you. If money is power and the money is coming from you, then who's in control of the power? This is economic education course where teaching people the power starts. You've always had the power, but it's a concentrated effort to keep you disconnected. So you don't realize how powerful you are. You control it all. It all flows from you. You are the source of everything they got going on. Meaning if you're the source from an economic standpoint and a spiritual one, because it is your energy that flows the team. It is your money that funds the team. So if that is indeed the case, then you control it all. That's why they tell you that is your New Orleans Saints without giving you any breaks. But you have to demand what belongs to you. They're not going to volunteer it to you. This is game. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, right? Until we get better. Yeah. But that's the whole thing, man. It's just what it is, man. We gotta pull it up there. Yeah, who that daddy says called a nonprofit organization. Indeed. That's right. That's what they do. Yeah. All right. 506 says 49Q. I stopped watching 20. Yes, it's 20. The Pelicans have lost. They got blown out by 49 points last night. I called it what was the title on Pelican post game report was the Pelicans were, incinerated. They were incinerated by the Heat. Yes. By 49 points last night. You were like, what? And they got the nerve to ask for more. For what? What you doing? Both these teams stink. They rotten. They bad. They have bad leadership over both the teams. They got a dummy coach over the Pelicans. Stupid VP over the Pelicans. Dumb VP over the Saints. And they got the nerve to ask for more money. Boy, they must think we some world-class suckers over here. LM says Kellen Moore did not attend Sanders Pro Day. Is that a sign Moore is not sold on Sanders? Not at all, bro. Not at all. He had representation there, didn't he? He had Saints there. It was a couple of other staff Saints that weren't there. Kellen wasn't Moore. Probably couldn't make it because he had a previous engagement. Might have been something with his family. Hell, who knows? But at the end of the day, the Saints did have representation at Sanders Pro Day, which means still and all. If my guys are there, I'm there. You get what I'm saying? Now I can see what people believe. Well, he was at this other guys, but sometimes there's conflict issues, But if my guys are there, I will know what they know. Yeah, Chief says, no available superstars. They're all injured. No, actually, they shut down C.J. McCollum and Zion Williamson. They had a back bruise. And many people think that those guys could have played. Yeah, they're tanking. So anybody that can help them win games, they don't want no part of it. But to lose by 49, I can understand you have an incentive to want to lose, but they lose by 49. That's something you want to still compete, but not that's just unacceptable. You can't look at that any other way. All right, King Eternal says, did Kellen mean those good things he said about Mickey, or did he just want to be head coach? No, I think he genuinely likes Mickey Loomis. He doesn't know Mickey Loomis, fam. He doesn't know. You meet Mickey Loomis for the first time. Kellen Moore doesn't know Mickey Loomis. He met, well, until meeting him and interviewing with him. He doesn't know Mickey Loomis is into, like you do. You don't, you've been knowing Mickey Loomis for years. There's nothing Mickey Loomis can say that can trick you up, or you know him. You know what he's going to do. We do it all the time on the show. We talk about it because he's easy to read. But Kellen Moore doesn't know Mickey Loomis like you know him, or Derek Carr like you know him. He don't know these guys. He don't know what this team was like last year. He don't know. He coming in here, eyes bucking, boy, look like a young JFK or something. I don't know what's going on. But he, at the end of the day, he come in here smiling. He just happy to be a head coach, man. He just happy to be a head coach. You can see it. He just happy to be a head coach, be in his position that only, 30-something other guys got the opportunity to be. He just happy to be here. You could tell. He got nothing but good things to say about everybody because he don't know him enough to say anything else. But you do, don't you? You know about this team, shit. All right, AT4 says, why did Kamara go to Kyler? He said that's his guy. He said it on the interview with him. He's there to support his guy. He likes Shador a lot. I think him and Prime, and of course, like Prime Time and Elvin Kamara, they got they're friends. Like, they respect relationships. Like, Prime is cool with a lot of pros, like a lot of really, because Elvin Kamara is an elite level player. He ain't just Joe Schmo running back attendant. Elvin Kamara, in by all, commentary is a star. Some would consider him, I don't know if you say he's a superstar, but he definitely a star. He's an elite player in this here NFL, and Prime Time has relationships with a lot of these elite players. He respects a lot of these guys. I remember what Prime was doing before he was a coach. He was on NFL Network, and he would do his commentary. He's in certain circles with these guys, and Prime is cool with a lot of these people, especially these elite players. And he might have been cool, and Elvin might have known him for a while. Elvin been in the league for what 9 years? Well, how long has Elvin been? 9 years or so, something like that, 8 or 9 years. And he knows Prime. Prime is cool with him, and he's there. He was there supporting Shador. But, at the end of the day, it wouldn't be a bad bet, man. It's within the Saints' position. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right, Chief Peanut. He says Mike Malone, next head coach. Well, you got to get Willie Green out the door first, my brother. Good luck with that. He says, I'm not showing up to do nothing. You don't want to show your hands. Remember what happened when New Orleans Saints were trying to get Mahomes. Kansas City jumped ahead of him. I know I said that, Chief Peanut. You're a history man, bro. I said that. Like, having all your business out on Front Street is not really good, because the rest of the teams know your hands. What if somebody else values? Because I think this is a campaign to drive his value down so somebody can get at him because they don't want to trade up to get him. And there's some saboteuring going on. That's what I'm saying. The saboteur. It don't make any sense. That he hadn't done anything to diminish his role. That's why when me and DC had this little conversation. DC like, you Cam did this and all. I was like, DC, listen. Okay, that wouldn't work for Cam and him flip-flopping. That would not describe him sliding like he's doing. I played the CBS reporter just to show y'all. He said around the talk, now he's outside the top 10. Now he ain't a top 15 guy. Some people think he ain't even the first round guy. I was like, what? What is explained? That's saboteuring going on to drop his value so somebody can get at him who don't want to use the capital to go up and get him. We see this every year, don't we? We see players, they throw mud on players. There's nothing that he's clean as a whistle. There's no reason to justify why they perceived him sliding as bad. Nothing has changed. That's the point. Usually have some receipts to explain that. Nothing has changed. Not at all. So why is now he's not a 15 pick? He's not a first rounder, according to what Jason is saying. Not at all, fam. Absolutely not. We got better sense than that. Chantel says, Q, I'm surprised the Saints didn't try to get Nick Chubb. He's a free agent right now. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. OG says, or he going back to Gulfport. All right, OG, be safe on that road, brother. All right. Yeah, this is very interesting, man. But yeah, you see it too, don't you? Don't tell me y'all don't see it, man. That boy look like JFK to me or nothing, man. Y'all like, he looking like a young JFK up there. I don't know, man. Maybe he got the part or something. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Maybe I'm just tripping. JFK before the bullets flying. Backwards said team's not worried about nothing unless it's medical or something devastating to sabotage the team. Yeah, I don't, man. Yeah, he said right. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, but that's the whole point. The point is, y'all seen when players slide by their own volition. They do something that's tied to drug, a guy might have something that bad happen. He might get into it with his girlfriend, or he might be, under the influence while he's driving, or he might have been doing something like what you seen Laramie Tunzel do that drop his stock, his stack right there, or it might be something on that level. Even he didn't do like what Ted McMillan did when he said, "I don't really like football." I don't know why he would do that. I just really don't understand what was the thought process in him doing that and just casually going about it. And the guy would say, "I don't understand. You don't, bro. Why would you cost yourself money?" I don't know why he would do that, but none of that was Shador. He's clean as a whistle. So that leads me to think, and I've seen this before, where they're just trying to throw a little mud on them to slide them down. So somebody who don't want to spend that capital to go up and get them, it's easier just to sling a little mud as opposed to spend all those draft picks you need to go up and get them. So with that, maybe he'll slide down to where they feel comfortable and snatch on to him. Because it's crazy. All right, KB says, "Yo, Q, Shador's drop is a big up dart." He says is too big up dart. Oh, okay, the big up dart. Every year we see this with our black QBs, not trying to make a race thing, but it's definitely the elephant in the room. NFL is not big on black leadership. But how do you explain Cam Ward? Cam's black. How do you explain Cam Ward then? I'll wait for that. How do you explain Cam Ward? Because Cam's black, Shador's black. Why they not throwing? They up in Cam. Is it a prime time thing? I would kind of lean more toward being a prime time thing, right? Like maybe because remember when he was in college, there was some weird stuff going on where people was colluding against prime when he was really hot and taking on the face of college. A lot of people really didn't respect that, so they colluded to kind of work against prime. Now that was actually a thing that was real. Maybe it's an axe against prime's son. I don't know. Or I don't know if it's that vicious. I just think it's teams that want Shador, but they don't want to trade the capital to go and get him as opposed to just spread a little dirt because they do it every year for the guy to slide down where they was comfortable getting at him from. So I don't know. Y'all would have to explain that to me. Make sense of that. I don't know. Because like I said, it would be interesting if everybody else wasn't, black, but Cam is black. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I just think they're just trying to muddy him up so he'll slide a little bit. All right. Chief says these people know nothing about the Saints. You should be on the radio. Replace W. They don't want. Hey, bro. They don't want to hear from me, bro. They do not want to hear Big Q on the radio. Keeping it real. Let me tell you something. They don't want to hear that. All right. Yeah, because there's too many people that are like, oh, good. We don't want that truth told. We don't want to. Oh no. Hold on now. Hold on. You can't tell that. Hold on. All right, J-Rocks, I believe, is because it's a perception that Cam Ward is not as outspoken as Shador. Oh, okay. Sean says Caleb Williams and Jaden's top 2 picks. I don't know. All right, Chantel says Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurt, Kyler Murray. So color don't matter. Yeah, I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that applies. I hear what you're saying. I don't think it applies for this particular situation. I don't think it applies. All right. So anyway, but appreciate the comment nonetheless, bro. Thank you. All right. Who that daddy says opinions are like, you know what, Q's? Everyone has one. Let them talk and he will slide right to it. Hey, bro, I've said it. If they screw around and let that man slide, we're gonna kick your teeth in. Backwards said team's not worried about nothing unless it's medical or something devastating to sabotage the team. I don't think it's medical. He's clean. He's all world clean. Backdoor Joe says it's a class thing more than race. They want Drew Brees saying, I don't disrespect the flag rather than should just speak in his mind. Okay. AT4 says it's a Sanders thing. One knocked on him was that he was not a runner. If he was a runner, they would want to move his position. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that, AT4. Devon says Shador is getting picked up at 9. Saints picking up. He says Shador is getting picked up before. Okay. I got you. I'm sorry. Before 9. Jackson Dart will be. Oh, you think Saints will take him at that high? Okay. We will see, man. It's a lot of opinions, man. Like, yeah, like his opinions are like, you know what? Everybody got one, right? Right. Right. Who that daddy? I hear you, brother. All right. So anyway, fam, we're going to get ready to get out of here. I'd like to thank y'all for tuning in tonight, man. I mean, to this afternoon. Hope you guys had a fantastic start of your day. Hope I brought you some entertainment there. But listen, what happens with this Derek Carr situation we'll maintain. But as it stands, I want some more answers, man. I want some more answers on this. I really do. I want to know how long the Saints knew about this Derek Carr shoulder thing. When did they know? Because if they did know, they could have been gotten a backup quarterback early in the free agency process. How long have they known about this situation about Derek Carr? How long have they known about this? And if did they know before they gave him the money? That's another thing. We need to know this because I don't trust Mickey Loomis as far as I can throw him. And it's just foolish. This stuff is crazy. And this all just shows you that they should have cut the string on him when they had the chance. They should have cut the string on him when they had the chance. Now, you give him all that money for nothing. And if he has surgery, depending on if he has surgery, according to Ian Rappaport, he has shoulder surgery, he won't start the season with the Saints. And if he does play, if he plays, it won't be till late. And by that time, whoever your quarterback is, you won't need him in there. The guy will be in there playing anyway. So, yeah, it's very realistic that you probably won't see Derek Carr again unless something drastic happened in the season where you would need him to quarterback your team. But at the end of the day, I would not be upset if I don't ever see Derek Carr. This was a terrible contract decision by the Saints. When Dennis Allen left, they should have let him take his quarterback with him. They should have got that guy out of here. And ultimately, like I said, let's just do this right quick before I go. Let's just rationalize this based on what we was hearing. Because if Derek Carr was hurt, how could there be trade rumors for him going to teams like the Giants? How could he be traded and hurt at the same time? So wouldn't it indicate that he wasn't hurt at that time when he was going out for, the trade? When did he hurt himself and how did he hurt himself? That's the question we want to know. And the Saints is obviously, and it's been broke that the Saints knew he was hurt. How long when did he get hurt? How long did the Saints know he was hurt? And does it overlap the timeline with the contract and giving him all this money? When did this happen? That's questions I got, man. Hopefully we'll get to the bottom of it. That's what I want to know. When did all this happen? When did the man get hurt? Seriously. When did he tear up his shoulder? When did that happen? And why wasn't not released? Why wasn't this not released when it happened? Because this is a story that they suppressed. And they could not keep, I guess they couldn't keep it out. So this been happened. When did this happen? When did it happen? Oh, it was season in peril. Now the season ain't in peril, man. Season ain't in peril. We know the Saints wasn't, like I said, it was when Derek Carr was running the team, man, veteran or not. Derek Carr he struggled finding the system, and you would have to run the football anyway. So it definitely pivots you toward something else, but you need to put some kind of finality and a cap on this situation. When did this happen, man? What day did this happen? Because I'm trying to find. I'm like, okay, he was trying to get traded to teams. So obviously, if he was getting traded, he was healthy enough to get traded, so he wasn't hurt then. Before the Saints restructured his deal, So I'm trying to figure out, how this type of thing. Because you can't trade him if he hurt. So like I said, we hopefully we're gonna get the answer sooner or later, fam. We got to get to the bottom of it sooner or later, man. It's crazy, man. Crazy talk. Crazy people. All right, yeah, who that daddy says stinks to high heaven. Yeah, this is I don't know what's going on here, man. All right, Dwayne said local journalists are in the Saints' pocket. A real reporter would have reported this. I don't. They might have not have it, fam. This seemed like the way it happened. Like Ian Rappaport got this. He got it. It wasn't any of our favorite. I ain't no disrespect to Ian Rappaport, but usually when you got guys that are close to the team, they'll usually get the information first. But Ian Rappaport, according to what I got the information before anybody, and then the Saints insiders got it later. So this was an Ian Rappaport scoop, which means he had a connection inside of the building that gave him this. So it was obviously leaked to him. And then it came back that the Saints Ben knew about it. So how long it's been? You see what I'm saying? What's the time frame here? I don't know. First game 2, I forgot he was playing. 504 coach says wasn't released because they don't give a damn about the support base that won't exist without us. I know, bro. J-Rock says, I heard it looks like if Carr gets surgery, it would take 6 months to recover. Depending on when he gets the surgery, then he would have to get into football shape. He's done. Yeah, you would have to pencil him, stick a fork in him. I don't know, bro. What's up, Derek? Says Big Q from San Diego. Did Derek Carr finally go to jail stealing with a gun? Nah, Derek Carr is done. He didn't rob. Shout out to you, brother Derek, out there in San Diego, man. Appreciate you. No, I don't think he didn't rob. And that's the thing. I disagree with some of the who that's for. I disagree because he didn't steal nothing from the Saints. They gave him the money. That's the whole point. Like that would infer that you stuck a pistol on Mickey Loomis and Mickey, hold on now, hold on, guy, hold on, just take whatever you want, leave that clam chowder right there. So now I don't see that happening. I don't see him sticking a pistol on him. The Saints gave it away. It was a charity, basically. The Saints gave money away they gave it to Derek Carr, it appears. He didn't have to put a pistol on him. The Saints Mickey Loomis is shoveling it out by the loads. $150 million worth of what? What did we pay? What'd you pay $150 million for? Just gave this dude money for nothing. What did he do? But come down here, get hurt, blame his players, and cause an entire loyal support base to literally hate him. I mean, like yesterday's broadcast, I was saying, man, I underestimated the despise. It's just like the angst. I call it angst, but it's more like the Who Dat Nation despises Derek Carr. Me personally, I don't give a rat's ass, but at the end of the day, they despise him. You guys despise Derek Carr. And I was like, man, I had to say, because I was like, man, we ain't worrying about no Derek Carr. Nobody. But no, no. I was underestimating that, man. The power of the dark side is real. Man, listen. The Who Dat Nation despises Derek Carr. And that's because of how he's been down here. Like he talks too much. He blames he do all this stuff off the field. But boy, when he on the field, you better have a metal plate all up and down your back because you're going to stick a knife in it one way or the other. Because he'll blame you on the field. He'll tell you it's your fault. Eric McCoy was trying to tear his head off. He looked at that offensive lineman they get to him. He'll be boy off the field. He won't go to church with you, invite you over to the house. But when he on the field, boy, he got a knife and it's two different people. It's Angel Carr off the field and Demon Carr on the field. You better wear a metal plate all up and down your back. All right. Yeah. I don't know what's going on here, fam. We're going to have to wait and see what time it is. Isaac says, Q, that should be the foot of the right. All right. Who that says, Q, when the news broke, my phone was going off like we won a Super Bowl. They had, the Who Dat Nation despises Derek Carr. Fam, listen, I did not realize how much the Who Dat Nation just doesn't like the guy. Me personally, I just think it's a bad contract. I don't have an axe to grind against Derek Carr. I just think Derek Carr came down here and thought that he can do some of the stuff that he did with the Raiders. He did not and could not understand how intelligent, thorough that we are here. We are, and I'm not trying to say one thing or another, but we different than most supporters because we demand you to be on a higher standard. And the Saints are losing because of ineptness, inability to hire the right personnel. And once they get personnel in there, they don't operate with timelines. They don't operate with ultimatums, or not ultimatums, but you have a plan. Like at the end of 4 years, we want to, or 2 years or 3 years, we want to be here. Like what most good businesses do. They have a mark every week or month of how much money they want to make. They have a certain amount of planning that they have with how much they're going to grow their business at a certain period of time. They have, they have a plan in place. They have a timeline. And based on the plan and the timeline, they maneuver or adjust based on the information that they have. That's what I'm saying. The Saints don't operate. They hire these guys and they just let them do whatever they want to do. And then you get pissed off because they're not winning. And then they come out and stand in front of you and BS you like Mickey Loomis does every year.
Well, I heard all that other stuff before. I mean, and I heard the same stuff with Sean Payton.
And then he went Drew Brees. It's 4-5, so we're done. And all this kind of stuff. Smacking gum, eyes bucking. Did Gail get on him? He says, "Hold on, that was a bad look, Mickey. You will go out there. And you will go. That was a very bad look. That was very unprofessional. You got up there bucking your eyes. That's not how we do here. Anything here in this organization, you will apologize to the supporters. You will go out there and you will apologize to them. None of that happened. She ain't give a damn. Dennis Lauscher, his big dumb ass sitting up there, let Mickey Loomis do it. And Mickey Loomis said, well, they didn't check me on that. I can do whatever I wanted. So he does. But the only one checks him, and I start making fun of him, is to bring light to the bad behavior that the Saints represent. So when you hear me mimic Mickey Loomis, ain't nobody care about no Mickey Loomis enough to mimic him. I did it to make light of him because he's a simpleton. So they could draw attention to how ridiculous all this is, man. So I basically turned him into a cartoon character that everybody enjoys to listen to.
Hold on, goddammit. Hold on, I ain't a cartoon character. Hold on now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People like to laugh at you now because you're a fool. You're a moron, a chump, a simpleton. Because you're going away from logic. It's time, man. It's time for stuff to change, man. One more comment, then we're going to back out of here. The truth is, what rookie QB could learn from Derek Carr? Perhaps how to throw a hospital ball. Thank you, truth. Is truth number one. Derek Carr could show people some stuff, fam. I just think that I don't think and we said this before. The Who Dat Nation is very clear. The Who Dat Nation do not like Derek Carr. They really don't like him. I would even say it's close to despising Derek Carr. They literally despise Derek Carr. And $150 million for 3 injury-plagued years, a possum-faced loser coach that backstabbed his team is almost too much to bear. So I totally understand. If most of them other people don't get it, they're not Saints people. They don't get it. Derek Carr didn't do nothing for us here. He might have done some greatness for the Raiders. He owned all their franchise records, and that's good for you. But he's done nothing for the Who Dat Nation, but take money that he didn't earn. $150 million is a lot of money for 3 injury-plagued years. That's a lot there. And people can see through that fake facade. I'm this big family man off the field, and then on the field, you pointing fingers at McCoy, you point fingers at Chris Olave, you blaming wide receivers for running the wrong routes when that's not what a leader does. A leader don't blame his teammates. A leader that's making $100 million plus takes the blame onto himself. That's how you get guys to love you and play for you. And that's the difference that people are missing. When he on that field, he turns into Devil Carr. When he's off the field, he's Angel Carr. Devil Carr. Oh, Devil Carr. Man, listen, bro. You can't fool the Who Dat Nation. We too on point with ours around here, man. Man, I got love for y'all, man. I'm honored to be a part of the mighty Who Dat Nation, the best in the business, man. Thank you guys so much, man, for real. Thank you for just being a family member with the mighty Who Dat Nation, man. Let me tell you, man. Let me tell you, I just thank the Most High for putting me in the Who Dat Nation. Let me just put that let me give y'all a round of applause, man. Shout out to the mighty Who Dat Nation, man. Big ups. Love the mighty Who Dat Nation, man. Brother James says, Q, I saw this in Carr's character a long time ago. He doesn't like any competition for a QB. That's right, bro. I think he planned into his injury because he's pissed and he passed all the deadlines that affected his money. Shaking my head. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you, Brother James. Much love, bro. Who Dat Daddy? Thank you, man. He says, Q is running that old. I bet I know where you got those shoes. Hey, listen, man. Listen, I just thank y'all so much, man, because it's been a long several years of losing, man. And listen, man, I just thankful to be a member of the mighty Who Dat Nation, man, because, you know, one thing for certain, we keep these people accountable. We stay on their neck with ours with the truth. And it is just cool and awesome when that veritas, when that truth comes out, man. And it's phenomenal, man. When people see, they finally see the light, and we've been on point with our game for a long time now. So, man, it's all good. What's up, Sonia? Shout out to you, Brother Covington. How you doing, sir? Says, who you think we are? He said, hold on, let me put Jerry on there. He says, who they think we are? You can't bull job us. We see it before you try and do it. Indeed. Shout out to you, Brother Jerry. Appreciate you, man. Indeed, I keep telling them. David Griffin and Mickey Loomis and all these people that want to try to BS us, don't do that. You might have done that in previous stops, but don't do that. We're not for that. We don't like all of that, and we can see that. And we will call you out. We will check you. We will definitely do it. And that's not only anybody, the players, the coaches, the ownership. Hell, it don't matter. If you on that BS, we're going to get at you. No doubt about it, man. So I just appreciate that aspect of us, man, for keeping it all there. But anyway, with that being said, I'm going to get out, man. Y'all do us a service. Check out our show sponsors, Mint Mobile, Tiege, Hanley, and Bet Online. Links in the description section below for deals on all of them. Mint Mobile. If you need cheaper cell phone service, man, check out Mint Mobile. There's a discount being offered. Tiege, Hanley, for the brothers want to get their skin game tight and right. Tiege, Hanley, we got a special going on, man. You hit that link, you get a little special deal. Bet Online for my bettors out there who, you know, a lot of betting is going for Shador going toward the Saints. Are you guys down with that? Do you think that happens? Vegas thinks so. I think the bets are for Vegas is saying that Shador goes to the Saints. That's the biggest betting right there going on. That's the line on it anyway. But anyway, y'all check that out. And also check out whothatdaily.com. Give our writers support, man. You know, they write and doing some great stuff over there as well to keep our unit, our platform moving strong. So with that being said, I'm going to holler at y'all on Monday stream unless something pop up. Much love. Who Dat to you. Peace.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who dat. I'm a who dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a who dat. Lose or winning, I'm a who dat. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who dat. I'm a who dat. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your chain for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees are Roger Goodell. Yeah, like this, and I'm a who dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a who dat. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Say they gon' beat them, say who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them, say who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them, say who that?
Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to NHL and UFC. Bet Online continues to be your number one sports betting source for every three-pointer to hat trick. Bet Online has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. Bet Online, the game starts here.
TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, TheWhoThatDaily.com is your site. TheWhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and Who That too.